A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Jerry of the Circus. For Jerry of the Circus.
Hey, Jerry, come here.
What's the matter, Tom?
Hurry up.
What is it?
Look at here. Say, what's the matter with Rags?
Well, what's the matter with him?
Well, look at the big hole he just dug under the wagon.
Well, what's the matter, fella?
Well, he's been digging under the wagon for a long time now. You know, I'll bet there's something under there.
Jiminy, I never saw such a big hole. What is it, Ray?
Well, first he'd dig in one spot, and then he'd go to another. And he kept growling and barking.
Stop it, Ray.
He acted kind of mad.
What's the matter, boy, huh?
He's trying to tell you to help him look under the wagon.
Is that what you want, Ray? Well, all right, then. I'll see what it is.
Here's where he was digging last, Jerry.
Well, there's nothing here, Rags.
Then he's sure making a lot of fuss about nothing.
Hey, what's all the excitement going on?
Rags is looking for something under the wagon, Bump.
He's been carrying on something fierce.
Oh, he's probably just looking for a bone that he buried.
Bone? Oh.
What's the matter with you now?
Well, yes, tell him, Jerry. Let us in on the joke.
I never in my life saw anything so funny before.
Well, come on, what is it?
Come on, Jerry, out with it.
The joke is sure on Rags.
What joke?
And here I've been thinking all along how smart he is. And then he pulls a stunt like this.
Oh, he is smart, Jerry. The smartest dog as I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah? Well, do you know why he's been digging that big hole under the wagon?
Well, my guess is that he's looking for a bone. He always buried them under the wagon.
That's just it. But he hasn't buried any under the wagon since we've been playing this town. He did bury a great big one under the wagon in the last town we played, though. Don't you remember, Blanche?
Hey, come to think of it, I do. He threw dirt all over us when he was covering it up.
Yeah, when we were sitting on the steps here.
Well, what's the joke? Tell us, Jerry.
Well, he buried the bone under the wagon like he always does when he gets a nice big one. And now he's looking for it, and it makes him mad because he can't find it.
Oh, I'll bet you're right, Jerry. Rags forgot that we moved on to another town, and he can't understand why the bone isn't where he buried it.
Well, you might as well give up, Rags. That bone is over 100 miles from here, back in the last time we played.
It's a good thing you found him when you did. He might have dug such a big hole, the wagon would have rolled into it.
Now what, Rags?
He sees somebody coming over there.
Oh, Rags, stop it. Well, for the... I do declare.
Who is it, Bump?
Be quiet, Rags.
I can't believe my own eyes, Jerry.
Well, who is it? Who's that man that's coming over this way?
It's Colonel Charlie Alger. Hello, Charlie. That's the man Leo said was coming.
Yeah, the advance man for the circus.
Yes, it surely is a treat. Oh, gosh, it's good to see you.
Yes, it's mighty good to see you, Bumps. Yes, put her there. Same old Bumps. Well.
Charlie, this is my pal, Jerry.
Jerry, glad to know you, young fella. Glad to know you.
I'm glad to meet you, too. I've heard a lot about you.
That's so. Folks been talking about me again, have they? Well, I'll soon put a stop to that.
But they only said nice things about you.
Oh, well, now, that's different. Yeah, that's different. Sure, yes. That's different.
And this is Jerry's pal, Tom. Shake hands with Colonel Alger, Tom.
I'm sure glad to meet you.
Yeah, the pleasure's all mine, young man.
You got a few minutes, Charlie?
Yes, sirree,
Well,
Bumps.
then come on into the wagon here where we can sit down and talk a little bit. Come on, boys. Well, you going to be with us long, Charlie?
No, I'm not, Bumps. I'm getting back on the head of the show right away. Figure to leave tonight, yes. Say, have you got a little drinking water, Bumps? I'm a bit thirsty, yes, just a wee bit thirsty.
Why, sure, Charlie. Oh, Jerry, pour Colonel Alger a glass of water out of that cooler there.
You bet.
Hey, do you recognize that boy, Charlie?
No, I can't say that I do. Bumps.
Why, that's Jerry Dugan, Tim Dugan's boy.
No, you don't say. Well, what do you know about that?
Here's your water, Colonel.
Thank you, Jerry. So you're Tim Dugan's boy.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I knew your dad well, Jerry, yes. We were great pals in the olden days, yes, sir. Great pals. Well, now, how about you, young man? You haven't said a word.
He's just going to be with us until we play Fordham. He's working his way home.
Oh, Fordham, huh? I just came back from Fordham. Yes, fact of the matter is, I made a special trip back there to see Mr. Randall about a stunt we want to pull off there.
Oh, yeah? What's that, Charlie?
Why, they're running a fair there, Bumps. Yes, running a fair. Same day that we play there.
Oh, say, that's bad. That'll be pretty stiff competition for us.
Yes, that's why I had to see Sam about a stunt that'll help out quite a little. There's nothing like cooperating with those things. Yes, better than fighting them.
Yes, sir, every time.
Yes, you betcha.
Now, what's the stunt you're going to pull, Charlie?
Well, it isn't really very much, Bumps. Nothing much at all. But they're having horse racing at the fair, and I thought we could get a lot of notice and some good publicity if we took those Cossack riders out and put on an exhibition of their riding.
Oh, hey, that'd be good, Charlie.
Yes, it might turn out to be a good stunt. After they left the fairgrounds, folks would probably come right to our show.
Excuse me, Colonel Alger.
Yes, oh, yes, son, yes. What is it?
Did you meet any people while you were in Fordham?
Did I meet any people? Did I meet any people? Well, now, that's a good one. Yes, sir, that's a good one, yes. Yes, well, I met people wherever I go. Lots of people, lots of them, my boy.
What do you mean, Tom?
Well, I thought maybe Colonel Alger would know where my father was or if he's in Fordham.
Yes. What's your father's name, Tom? I never forget a name or a face either.
My dad's name is Jack.
Hey, no, his last name. What's the fellow's name, Jack?
Rogers. Jack Rogers.
Jack Rogers, yes. Oh, Jack Rogers. No, I didn't meet him, Tom, no. I heard some of the men at the fairgrounds talking about a Jack Rogers. Now, what were they saying about him? Now, let me see. Oh, yes. Seems like he entered some old horse in the big race at the fair.
Oh, that couldn't be Dad. I don't think he'd have a horse.
Well, this Jack Rogers just bought one. Got him cheap, and that's the reason the boys were getting a laugh out of it, because the horse is old. Yes, he just doesn't figure at all in a race with a lot of high-class horses.
Say, what's the matter, Charlie? You warm?
Yes, I am, Bumps. A little warm. Yes, I am a little warm.
It's not warm in the wagon here. I'm comfortable with my sweater on. You sure you're feeling all right?
Feeling all right? Oh, sure, yes. I'm fine, very fine, yes, but I would like another glass of water, Jerry, if you please.
Sure, I'll get it.
Yeah, see, I don't like your color, Charlie. Your face is sort of red.
Face is red. Oh, I just been out in the sun too much, Bumps. Yes, out in the sun too much, that's all.
Here you are, Colonel.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, my boy, thank you.
You look feverish to me, Charlie.
Nonsense.
Then you didn't see my father, this man that has the horse.
Oh, yes, I saw him. I saw him from a distance. The boys pointed him out to me when he was out on the track with his horse, yes. But what I said was, I didn't meet him.
What, was he sort of tall and thin, and did he have a mustache?
Well, now, let me think a minute. Did he have a mustache? Yes, he had a mustache. Yes, he was kind of tall and wiry.
I'll bet that's your dad, all right, Tom.
That's what he looks like, all right.
Well, Tom, if that's the right name and the right description, it must be the right man. Yes, sir, it must be the right man.
Well, now, at least you know your dad is still in Fordham. That ought to make you happy.
Golly, it sure does.
Say, you got time to tell us one of your stories, Charlie?
Oh, it's one of my stories. Why, yes, sure I have, Bumps. Sure I have.
Well, tell one that I haven't heard before.
That's right, Bumps. You've heard most all of my stories.
Oh, I bet there's a couple of hundred that I haven't heard, though.
Yeah. How about the old ostrich feather yarn?
No, don't recall that one, Charlie.
Good. Then you'll enjoy hearing it. Yes, sir, you'll really, really enjoy it.
A circus story, Colonel Alger?
Yes, Jerry? A circus story from way back. Long about 40 years ago, I guess it was. Yeah, that's about 40 years. Yeah, just about 40 years ago.
Were you in a circus that long ago?
Yes, and before that, young man. Now, to get on, it was a small outfit, but we had a very fine collection of animals. And in those days, as it is now, folks cared just as much about seeing the animals as they did the show itself. Among other things, we had...
Bones.
Excuse me, Charlie. Yeah?
Is Charlie Alger in there with you?
Oh, yes, he is, Doc. Come on in. It's Doc Williams, Charlie.
Oh, yes, good.
Who's he, Jerry?
He's a circus doctor. He's got charge of the hospital top.
Yeah, been looking all over for you, Charlie.
Well. Old Doc Williams himself. I'm glad to see you, Doc. Glad to see you.
Sit down here and make yourself at home.
Yeah, what's the idea of passing me up, Charlie? How come you didn't come by the hospital top and say hello?
Why, I was just going to come over and see you now, yes. You don't think for a minute that I wasn't going to visit with you? Say, Jerry, would you be so kind as to get me another glass of water?
Sure.
Well, say, that's the third glass in the last 5 minutes. I tell you, it isn't right for you to be so hot and thirsty on a day like today. Say, what's the matter with him, Doc?
Ah, you do look kind of flushed, Charlie. Yeah, let me feel your head.
Here you are, Colonel Alger.
Oh, yes, my boy. You brought it, eh? Well, thank you, Jerry.
Say, yeah, you've got a fever, Charlie.
That's what I thought, Doc.
You sure have, Charlie. Yeah, let me see your tongue.
Let me see my tongue. Oh, nonsense. I'm all right.
Ah, come on now. Won't hurt to have a look.
Well, all right.
Of all things.
What's the matter, Doc?
Yes, sir. I'm right.
You're right. Well, what's the matter? I suppose you're going to tell me that I won't live till morning.
No. This is no joke, Charlie. You've got the measles.
Measles? What?
Surest thing, you know. Now, you boys clear out of here right away. You two, Bumps, get your things before you go, because you won't get back into this wagon after you leave.
Why, what do you mean, Doc?
I'm putting Charlie to bed right here in this wagon, and I'm locking him in. He'll have to stay in quarantine till he's over the measles.
Why, you can't do this to me. Why, I've got to leave tonight. I've got to get back ahead of the show. Yes, I've got work to do.
I'm sorry, Charlie, but you're going to be quarantined in this wagon until you're well. I'll send a nurse over right away to make you comfortable.
Yes, but you can't.
I can't let you run around either. Measles are catching. We can't afford to let the whole circus get them.
psalmist said, "When I awake, I am still with thee." For the child of God, seeking the presence of the Lord is essential as each day begins. To help you in starting this day with God, we offer a brief devotional meditation from morning and evening, a collection from the pen of one of the greatest preachers of all time, Charles Haddon Spurgeon. This morning's text is found in Psalm 29 and verse 2. Give unto the Lord the glory due unto his name. God's glory is the result of his nature and acts. He is glorious in his character, for there is such a store of everything that is holy and good and lovely in God, that he must be glorious. The actions which flow from his character are also glorious. But while he intends that they should manifest to his creatures his goodness and mercy and justice, he is equally concerned that the glory associated with them should be given only to himself. Nor is there aught in ourselves in which we may glory. For who maketh us to differ from one another? And what have we that we have not received from the God of all grace? Then how careful ought we to be to walk humbly before the Lord. The moment we glorify ourselves, since there is room for one glory only in the universe, we set ourselves up as rivals to the Most High. Shall the insect of an hour glorify itself against the sun which warmed it into life? Shall the potsherd exalt itself above the man who fashioned it upon the wheel? Shall the dust of the desert strive with the whirlwind, or the drops of the ocean struggle with the tempest? Give unto the Lord, all ye righteous. Give unto the Lord glory and strength. Give unto him the honor that is due unto his name. Yet it is perhaps one of the hardest struggles of the Christian life to learn this sentence. Not unto us, but unto thy name be glory. It is a lesson which God is ever teaching us, and teaching us sometimes by most painful discipline. Let a Christian begin to boast, I can do all things, without adding, through Christ which strengtheneth me. Before long he will have to groan, I can do nothing, and bemoan himself in the dust. When we do anything for the Lord, and he is pleased to accept of our doings, let us lay our crown at his feet and exclaim, Not I, but the grace of God which was with me. This meditation was taken from Morning and Evening by C.H. Spurgeon. Please listen each morning at this same time for Morning and Evening.
The greatest story ever told. Presented by the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. This afternoon we present A Cup of Cold Water, a drama inspired by a teaching set forth in the 10th chapter of the Gospel according to St. Matthew. A teaching from the greatest life ever lived. The town of Jezreel in Galilee is bathed now in the purpling shadows of evening. The walls of the modest white houses reflect the rays of a setting sun, and the sounds and activity of another busy day are beginning to settle into the quiet that comes with the dusk. Along the street that leads from the town gate, a solitary traveler makes his way slowly, as though tired from a long journey. The dust of the road clings to the man's homespun garment, and his face is burned from the sun. Now, he stops. He looks about him and finally chooses one house, He goes to the door, and there he knocks. Yes. Do you seek someone in this house, stranger? Friend, I would ask you to do me a kindness. I have come a far distance this day, and I am tired and thirsty. Would you take in a weary traveler and give him a place to rest, some water to drink? Well, you seem like a decent, honest man. Yes, come in. Thank you, friend. Sit here on this stool. I shall get you some water with you. Wash.
Simon, who is it? What did it... Oh.
Peace to you, good woman, and to this house.
Thank you, sir.
Lois, this stranger is dusty and tired from a long journey. Come, we shall get some water for him. Come, Lois. Thank you, friend.
Simon, there was space will be enough food for the two of us. How could we invite a stranger?
He knocked, and he has to rest. But we must help him, Lois. Besides, there is something about that man.
He looks no different from other men. Except perhaps the gentle way he has about him.
So it's more than that. I know that man.
You called him strange.
I know. I can't tell you his name. I can't even say that I know him at all. And yet there is something familiar about him.
An odd way to talk. Either you know someone or you don't.
Well, I must have seen him before, somewhere, someplace. Well, perhaps it'll come to me before the evening is over. In the meantime, we must get water for him to wash with, and we must share our meal with him.
Well, I'm sorry if there wasn't very much to eat, but you noticed that we were to have a guest this evening.
Sometimes a little shared with good people can be far more satisfying than much food eaten alone. Besides, it is I who should apologize. It's my fault it was not enough. No, please, don't say that. There would have been enough for two. It was kind of you to take me in. Others had turned me away. You mustn't judge them too harshly. People in this town, in this whole province, are frightened. Of late, there has been sudden raids by a band of nomads who come across the Samaritan border to attack and steal and then disappear across the border again. Everyone here is anxious and suspicious. And they thought I might be one of them. Is that it? When people are anxious, they suspect everyone. Is that why you watched me so closely while we ate? Did I watch you so closely? Of the three of us, you ate least. You kept staring at me. What is it? Don't you trust me? Of course. But I have a feeling that I know you, that I've seen you before, but I don't know where. Tell me, my friend, have you ever come to hear the Master when he was taught here in Jezreel? Yes, I have. Then perhaps you saw me there. Lois, I remember now where I saw him.
And so do I. He is one of the 12.
Yes. My name is John. Now I know. Well, John, it is no small honor to have you as a guest in this humble house. The honor and good fortune are mine, Simon. To fall in with friends, with followers of the Master. Please, John, don't say that. Not that way. What is it, Simon? Please. Just don't talk that way. What troubles you? Well, mind you, I have nothing against the Master. Nor do I say his teachings are not good. But as to being a follower of his, well, that's quite another matter. If my presence here troubles you in any way. Well, there's no need to leave, John. But neither is there any need to make a point of this with others. We shall keep this quiet. Shall we? You seem so frightened at the door. A knock like that, it's not the knock of a friend.
You had better answer it, Simon.
Yes, I'll answer it.
Well, don't stand there peering out at me. Let me in.
Yes, sir.
Well, let me see. Let me have a look around.
Well, sir, there's nothing here to interest the Roman centurion. We're simple, honest people.
Be quiet. You're the man who owns this house? This is your wife?
Yes.
But this man, who is he? You, stand up.
Yes, sir.
Haven't seen you around these parts before. Have I?
I don't know. I want no evasive answers. I have been here before, but whether you've seen me, I don't know. Oh, a word splitter. One of those annoying people of whom there seem to be so many in this cursed land. Well, I won't have it. I want answers, direct, to the point. You understand? You have only to ask. See here, I might take you with me just because of your sheer insolence. We Romans don't indulge insolence, you know. Please, sir. Please, we want no trouble here. There's nothing wrong here. I am no follower of the master, nor is my wife. We're simple people and willing to obey all the laws. What any Roman officer commands, we do. Please, sir, we want no trouble. Be still, sir. If you have come seeking followers of the master, you've found one here at least. I am a follower. And if you would take me, do so. But don't harm these good people. They were only doing an act of kindness by taking me. What is all this prattling about the master? Isn't that what you came to ask? I'm not interested in what wandering prophets teach or in who listens to them. It's a business for madmen and fools. Then what do you want? We have received word that those raiders were at large again this night, that they crossed the border from Samaria. I wondered if some of them had already filtered into the town in the guise of travelers. They've done that before, you know. Yes, I've heard. Well, if that's what you think, we have no one here except this one man, and he's no bandit or thief. Yes, I can see that. Well, I shall be on my way. If you hear or see anything suspicious, let us know at the encampment. Ask for me, the Centurion. Yes, sir, we will. Good evening. I thought it was the end of it. You never know with those Roman soldiers. For nothing. For absolutely nothing. They'll drag a man down to their encampment and torture him there till he confesses to anything. You can't be too careful with them.
Darling, please. Sit down. Rest. You look so pale and frightened.
Frightened? Yes. John, you must be ashamed of me. No, Simon. But you must. How quick I was to deny that I knew anything about the master. You were a little afraid, but you weren't. I admired the way you stood up to that centurion. The way you said so bravely that you were a disciple. I couldn't have done that. Maybe now you know why I can't follow the master. Though I believe every word I've ever heard him say, I still can't admit it openly and follow him. Too many people disapprove. There's danger in that. And I'm a timid, frightened man. I cannot face that kind of danger. If you are on the side of God, Simon, there's nothing to fear. Remember that always. It takes courage. You will find it, Simon. You'll find it. I hope so. Now, you've been kind enough to me, both of you. And I've brought you only trouble.
No, John. It's been no trouble.
Because of me, there was almost trouble with the centurion. Perhaps it would be best if I went on, now that I'm refreshed and no longer hungry. Please, now? After what the centurion said about the bandits being at large this night? It was only a rumor. And if it turns out to be true? What have I that anyone can steal? Well, these bandits are worthless. They've been known to kill people precisely because they had nothing to steal. As if it were the victim's fault that he was poor. No, you must not leave here, not this night. You want me to sleep here?
We can make you a bed of straw in the kitchen. Surely it will be better than sleeping out in the open. Please, stay the night here.
If you would feel better, I shall.
It's good. Good. First I shall clear the table, and then I shall prepare a place for you to sleep. Meantime, these two men will talk. I'm sure there is a great deal Simon has to ask you. Isn't there, Simon?
Yes. Yes, Lord. And then, John, you must tell me what happened after that. The master had gathered all the disciples about him. We were on the very top of the hill. And as we stood there, he spoke to us. And he said, Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Oh, such words. And John, what a wonderful thing for those who have the courage to follow them. Simon, You would have the courage. No, John. You have seen the little courage that I have. It's been the bane of my life. I have not the courage to say what I think or to do what I want to do. But teachings of kindness and love take more courage than I had. One day you will be with us, Simon. I can tell you now I'm not worthy. The Master himself spoke of being persecuted and... Listen. That sound. A Roman chariot. It seems the centurion may have been right. Perhaps the bandits are in the vicinity. Yes. Oh, I was telling you, John, what the Master said about being persecuted. To withstand that takes the kind of courage that I don't have. That comes with believing, Simon. I know. Oh, I was very proud of you when you faced the centurion and spoke up, saying you were a follower of the Master. Yes, I was proud that such a man was a guest in my humble house. But then I was ashamed that I didn't have the courage to stand up and be equally honest and brave. If a man were never to walk, would he know if he could run? You're being too kind to me, John. That sound again. The Romans seem to be out in force. Yes. The bandits must be in the vicinity tonight, and the Romans are out in force. What a pity. Sure, you can't mean it would be a pity if they were caught, can you, John? It's a pity that blood will be shed this night. Bandit blood? Roman blood? Human blood, in any case. Simon, would you give me a moment that I might pray? Pray? What for? For the bandits and the Romans. Yes, John. I shall be quiet, so you may pray.
Simon, good morning.
Quiet, my dear. I'll visit hasn't awakened yet. I heard no sound from the kitchen.
Poor man. He must have been very tired.
He told me he walked all the way from Nazareth yesterday.
Then no wonder he phoned. Yes, we shall let him sleep.
What a good, kind man he is, Lord. Last night he prayed for the Romans and the bandits.
He did that?
Yes. And when he had finished, he said, God is good. May justice be done without blood being shed.
You know, Simon, I was thinking last night that in a way you're like him.
Me? Oh, no. No, I have neither his gentleness nor his courage.
But you would like to have, wouldn't you?
Listen, everybody, did you hear the news?
Who's that who calls that way, Simon?
I don't know. But if he keeps shouting, he'll wake John, and the poor man needs sleep. I'll quiet that fellow.
Listen, everybody, it's Hoffman. Yes, they got
Be quiet, Daniel. You're rousing everyone.
What's the matter? Won't it be a relief to you that they finally caught those bandits?
Oh, they have?
That's the word I got from the sentry at the town gate. He said that all night the Romans kept pouring out of the town. He's sure they finally rounded up those raiders. So this town will be free of any more attacks now.
Tell me, do you know if any of them were killed?
Who cares if they were all killed? The important thing is the Romans have finally got them. Hey, listen, everybody.
Please, Daniel, lower your voice.
Say, what's the matter with you, Simon? You don't seem happy that the bandits have been caught. You don't want me to raise my voice. Whose side are you on?
Well, I'm glad the bandits were caught. But of course I'm glad.
I wonder. A lot of people don't think too well of you, Simon. You're strange, different. And people notice it, let me tell you.
Different? Me? I'm not different from anyone else in this town. Yes, I'm glad the bandits were caught. And if some of them were killed in the process, it had to be. Yes, and you should go announce it to everyone. Of course. Of course, Dan.
All right, then. Let's have no nonsense out of you. Hey, listen, everyone. The Romans have caught those bandits. The Romans have caught them.
Oh, they've caught them, Simon. Oh, John. We thought you were asleep. Asleep? No. I've been saying my morning prayers. Tell me, did you hear what I said? Yes, I did hear, Simon. When you know that once again I was afraid to say what I really felt. Then we must be glad that at least you were concerned about whether any blood was shed. Do you think that's a hopeful sign? A very hopeful sign, Simon. Thank you, John. But now, Lois, the morning meal. Our guest shall eat well, for he still has a long journey to make.
I've made a small pack of food for you, John. You shall have enough to eat to last you on your whole journey.
Thank you, Lois. You are a generous and considerate woman. Listen. What's that?
It seems the whole town is out.
I wonder. Could it be that the Romans are returning to the town? We must see. Yes, the street is lined with people. Yet I see no sign of Romans or captives. Perhaps your friend Daniel aroused everyone with a false rumor.
It would seem that way.
There they are!
But surely the people have seen something the way they call out now. Yes, I can see now. That centurion rides at the head of a long procession. And look, behind them there are some soldiers. And then some others who are not dressed in uniform.
Look, Simon, there are not only men, but there are women, too.
Yes, the Romans must have crossed the border and captured that whole tribe of them. Yes, look, now you can see.
Oh, look, some of the people have seen stones, and they throw them at the prisoners.
Lois, that woman, the one carrying the child, she was hit. And look, now the crowd surges forward.
Stand back, everyone. Stand back. That's right. Stand back. These thieves are now prisoners of the Roman authority. We shall deal with them.
Look, Simon, the woman who carried the child, the one who was hit with the stone, she's trembling. She seems unable to walk any further.
Yes, she's about to fall. No, there, one of the soldiers caught her.
What is it, soldier?
This woman, sir, she can't go on anymore.
We've marched a good way since last night. I don't wonder she's so tired. We will rest here. Eddie! Allow the woman and her child to sit down.
Aye, sir.
Let them rest, is it? Perhaps we should treat these marauders like honored guests. Turn them over to us. We'll tell you what to do with us.
Please still and stand back. I want no one of you coming close to these prisoners on any pretext.
Simon, I keep watching that poor woman and her child.
Yes. Look at the child, tired and thirsty, an innocent child suffering because of the sins of its father.
For my child! Please, not for me, but for my child. Please, a cup of cold water.
Perhaps you should have thought of the child before you sent your men folks marauding and stealing through our Galilean countryside.
Please, a pity. Cup of water for the child.
Be still, woman. You'll get water when we reach our encampment.
But the child is thirsty now.
And she will be thirsty for a while longer.
It isn't right for the child to be punished. What wrong could such a little girl have done that they would deny her water? Yet no one moves to get the child a drink. Do they, Simon? I would like to do it. Then why not? You can see the crowd. You know how they feel. And didn't the centurion himself say that no one was to draw near to those captives on any pretext? Simon, a thirsty child. Will you call her a captive? Believe me, John, I would like to do it. I would like to, but it's the same thing. No courage. No courage.
They've had enough rest. Get them on their feet.
Aye, sir.
Walk. Please, and walk for my child.
Get them to their feet and moving.
Look at them. Exhausted, and yet now they would drive them. It's a long march to the encampment. Simon, John, where is Simon?
Wait, my good woman.
But he stood beside us only a moment ago.
And here he comes now.
Simon.
Please, Lois, stand aside.
Simon, you carry a cup of water.
The child is thirsty. Let me through. Let me through.
Why should we let him?
Hey, look! Look at Simon carrying water to thieves.
Let me through. Now let me through, do you hear?
Get them moving, I said. What is it? What holds up our progress now?
Sir, I do.
What's the meaning of this? I gave orders that no one was to approach these prisoners. You dare disobey my orders?
The child, sir. Here is water for the child.
Please, sir, let my child drink. Let her drink.
Well, all right, get on with it.
Here, woman. I shall hold the cup for the child. Here.
strength a little.
Thank you, sir.
Get them moving. Get them moving. Woman, on your way. On your way.
There, woman. The child has finished drinking.
Bless you, sir, for your kindness. Bless you.
God be with you. Go, woman. John, I don't believe what I hear. You can't mean what you said. Why not? Only a day's journey from here, we shall find the master. But then, you think I'm worthy to follow him? I think you are. And I believe that when you know it, you shall have more courage and even more belief in his way. But I did only such a little thing.
I, too, was proud of you, Simon. The way you went through that hostile crowd, and even past the Roman soldiers. And when the centurion questioned you, you spoke up surely and bravely.
Lois, I wasn't brave. I was afraid. Very much afraid. Which means you are brave indeed. For what is bravery except the strength to overcome fear? Yes, Simon, both of you will come with me to see the master. If you say so, John. If you say so.
You have earned it, Simon, by your compassion and by your courage.
It was such a small thing I did. Be still now, for we approach the master. Be still. Master, I have brought to you this good man and his wife. For a long time he has wanted to follow in your way, but thought he lacked the courage. Yet he is good and kind. He opened his house to me, though to him I was only a stranger. And in the face of threats and warnings, he undertook risks, merely to give a drink of cold water to a thirsty, unfortunate child. And still he feels he is unworthy. What say you, Master? He that receiveth you receiveth me, and he that receiveth me receiveth him that sent me. And whosoever shall give to drink unto one of these little ones a cup of cold water only, in the name of a disciple, verily I say unto you, he shall in no wise lose his reward. Did you hear? Oh, Master, thank you. Thank you, Master. This program was brought to you by the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. Next week on this same network at this time, we will present the story of Zacchaeus, based on an event from the 19th chapter of the Gospel according to St. Luke. Another episode in the greatest story ever told from the greatest life ever lived. On December 25th,
an inspirational Christmas story, No Room at the Inn, will be brought to you on television over another network by the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. We invite you to see it.
The Wonder Water. Our story begins on a June morning in that part of Britain called St. Albans. In the 3rd century, however, Britain was part of the Roman Empire, and St. Albans was then known as Verulamium. One of the best-loved men in Verulamium was the British aristocrat named Alban. Through a lovely garden in Alban's villa flowed a famous stream, known throughout the district as the Wonder Water. One June morning, Alban sat in his garden. Suddenly, he became aware of a strange new sound. He looked up and saw a strange little man splashing toward him in the middle of the Wonder Water.
Peace be with you, noble Alban.
Peace be with you also. If you are weary of washing your feet, come into my garden and rest yourself.
I was not walking in this stream to wash my feet.
I know. You're not the first fugitive in Verulamium to use the Wonder Water to hide his tracks from Roman soldiers. Come ashore if you need help.
I am not like the other fugitives whom you have helped.
Don't tell me your crime. I wish to be able to take my oath later, if necessary, before the consul of Verulamium, that I knew not who you were.
Who I am, I will keep secret if you wish. But what I am, you must know, or I shall not come ashore.
Have your way, then. What are you?
I am a priest of Christ. If the consul of Verulamium catches you giving me shelter, he'll kill you. Now, do you still invite me to come ashore into your garden?
You are wet, clear through, shivering with cold. Let me call my servant to provide you with towels and a change of clothes.
First, you should be warned. The Emperor Diocletian has forbidden Roman subjects to help a priest of Christ under pain of death.
What has that to do with your need of dry clothes?
The priest of Christ stayed on as Alban's guest in a remote room of his house for nearly a week. But a little worry kept gnawing at the back of Alban's mind as he entered the priest's room.
Hail, priest of Christ.
Peace be with you, noble Alban. You're early today.
And you, I hear from my servant, haven't yet been to your bed.
A message came for me last night while you were visiting the consul of Verulamium. It was a summons I dared not refuse to obey.
A summons?
A plea from a dying man is to me a summons from God. Maybe the dying man's last chance to save his soul.
But such a summons might well end in your own death.
Of what value is my brief earthly life against the eternal life of an immortal soul?
I regret to say that your earthly life is indeed likely to be brief from the way my friend the consul of Verulamium spoke last night.
My earthly days are counted out by God. No consul or Roman emperor can take away one day of their total without God's permission.
The consul plans to hunt for priests of Christ in the region of this villa today.
Well, then I must find a new hiding place, noble Alban. My presence here puts your life in peril, too.
No. Please stay. Your stories of your God Christ have answered many dark questions in my mind. There is a hunger in me to hear more.
Praise be to God. You shall hear more. Now, I'll stay indoors.
My friend, the consul has already invited himself to spend the day with me. Meanwhile, a troop of his soldiers will search the countryside for you.
Well, then I must leave.
No. No, you'll be safest in a room at the other end of the house.
With a Roman consul in the same house?
My friend, the consul would never include the house of his host among the places to be searched by his soldiers.
You are willing to gamble your life on your faith in your friend?
Yes, good priest of Christ.
Soon afterward, Alden walked outdoors to supervise some work being done in his garden. This labor was interrupted by the clanging, marching footsteps of a large troop of Roman soldiers. At the head rode his friend, the consul. And as they came to a halt, Alden overheard the centurion talking to the consul.
Noble consul, shall we search this villa? Certainly not. This is the villa of my friend Alban. These Christians hide in unexpected places, noble consul. My friend Alban is beyond suspicion, centurion. You men have your rations. Eat, rest, then search every house in the surrounding countryside.
Noble consul, I notice you have no rations. Will you take half of mine?
My friend Alban will undoubtedly find a place for me at his table. Come back for me when your search is ended.
Alban came forward to greet his friend. He led his guest to the garden where a table was already being prepared, not far from the happy sound of the flowing stream, the Wonder Water.
Hail and welcome to my humble table, noble consul. I noticed your soldiers looked hungry. I'll gladly have warm food prepared for the whole troop if you wish.
No, Alban. A troop of soldiers is like a troop of dogs. They hunt better when they are a little hungry.
Then you are hunting Christians again today.
Sometimes it seems to me that I'm going to be hunting Christians for the rest of my life.
Why?
That's a strange question, coming from a loyal subject of the Emperor Diocletian.
It is a question I would like to ask Diocletian himself.
Are you turned lunatic?
Oh, no, only curious. Why must all the power of Rome be turned savagely on a religious sect composed mainly of beggars and slaves who worship a crucified carpenter?
Alban, you don't know how dangerous these Christians are. You're a civilian. You measure power only in terms of troops and weapons and makers of weapons.
You know of a greater power than these?
Certainly. The power of ideas is far greater than the power of arms.
Even in combat?
I've seen soldiers turn their swords against their masters.
Ideas change the direction of their attacks?
Yes.
Then ideas could perhaps persuade men to surrender the use of the swords entirely.
I see you've become acquainted with the Christian philosophy.
It is my aim to become acquainted with all philosophy, all ideas. I want to know why I am on this earth. I want to know what I should do with my life. Philosophy seems to be the one reliable method by which I can draw a map of where I'm going.
Sometimes you're better off on a journey without drawing your own maps, but accepting those already provided by the authorities.
Reliable maps, without new and authority-frightening ideas?
I insist that mental freedom breeds its own destruction because it breeds ideas.
Why do you dislike ideas so intensely?
Ideas are like invisible poisons that mix in with the air we breathe, so that instead of life, we take death into our lungs. Ideas can not only kill people, they can kill nations, too.
Would you abolish good ideas along with the poisonous ones?
Ideas are like weapons. No sensible citizen would think to ask, is a weapon good or bad? Everyone knows that a weapon itself has no morality. No sensible government ever allows anyone but its own soldiers to carry weapons. Thus it should be with ideas. Why do you smile?
Diocletian, with all the power of the Roman army, still fears the Christian ideas. It makes me wonder.
At what?
Why don't the Christians
Fear Diocletian's ideas. More wine. Thoughtless words build walls between men, but fortunately good wine tears them down again.
Nature also heals. Listen to the music of that stream. People call it the Wonder Water.
The waters of this stream have curative powers. They attack sickness like medicine.
And yet remain fit to drink?
That is true. I myself have never been sick a single day in my life.
And you credit the Wonder Water with your lifelong health?
Oh, certainly not. But I'm sure that drinking the Wonder Water helped a great deal. But I'm equally sure that my father's study of philosophy helped my health far more than the Wonder Water itself.
How so?
My father became a convert to the Greek philosophy of the golden mean. He taught me to eat moderately, drink moderately, do everything in moderation.
No excesses of any kind?
None.
Not even excessive obedience to the decrees of Diocletian?
Excessive obedience can sometimes be even more disastrous to cooperation than disobedience, noble consul.
Alban, I have a serious question to ask you.
And I shall answer.
Do you know that the Christians in Verulamium have been using your Wonder Water in their baptism ceremonies?
Not inside my villa.
No. In the woods on that hill to the north.
Yes, that's where the stream comes out from under the ground.
Why didn't you notify me?
In the first place, noble consul, the Wonder Water outside my villa is not mine. It belongs in the realm of public domain, whose legal lord is the emperor himself. He alone may deny the use of public water, surely. You know that, noble consul.
I know it. But I must ask these questions, Alban. Why didn't you report the use of the Wonder Water by the Christians?
Would you want me to report what I never saw? I heard of the Christians using the water only through the gossip of my servants. Would you want me to repeat to you the gossip of servants as a basis for accusing people who may be innocent?
Next time, yes. Alban, if you ever become a Christian, I'll have you killed.
That would be your duty.
Have you become a Christian?
I am not a Christian.
If you were, I would be forced to have you killed. No mercy.
Mercy is a quality only to be shown by Christians, never to them.
And make sure you extend no hospitality to Christians, or you too will die.
You seem bound on making at least one of the Christian prophecies come true.
What do you mean?
It seems that this Jesus, whom the Christians worship, prophesied that the Son of Man would have no place to lay his head. I understand that every Christian accepts this prophecy as referring also to himself.
Let me catch any Christian, and I'll guarantee him a place to lay his head on the chopping block.
The day dragged on. By the time the troop of soldiers returned to the villa empty-handed, several flagons of wine had been emptied. The wine cup had made the consul of Verulamium strangely silent and sleepy, but he refused to remain in Alban's house overnight. When his men returned, he left. Alban hastened to the other end of his white stone house.
Good priest of Christ, I'm sorry to be late. You saw your danger outside the villa?
Inside the villa also. I heard the consul threaten to kill you for helping a Christian. For your safety, I must leave this house.
No, first I must know more about your God.
He is your own God, too, Alban.
My own God? Those are strange words to me. I have never had a God before.
You've always had a God, noble Alban. But you never knew it before. Therefore, your life was off-center.
Please explain that.
How do chariots and ox carts and corn-grinding mills move?
Let's see. A chariot moves smoothly only when its wheels are set on a true center. Yes, I see what you mean now. It's so with men, too. Unless God be the true center of a man's life, the hub around which the man's life revolves, the man will wobble and move crookedly.
And the wobbling of a man's life begins with the wobbling of his willpower.
In what way?
With unbelievable mercy and generosity and patience, our infinite, limitless God stands forever outside the doors of a man's heart, begging.
Begging for what?
Begging to be put inside your heart, begging to have you give back to him only a tiny part of what you've been given.
You really mean that God wants me to become a Christian?
When you say those words, you are standing at a crossroad in your life. One road leads to salvation. The other road leads away from it.
Salvation. That's a strange word in my ears. What does it mean?
Salvation means to escape from evil by giving yourself to God forever.
Oh, I understand. Salvation is something like becoming clean forever.
Spotlessly clean. Shining clean. Eternally happy clean.
But this escape from evil, I cannot honestly feel that my friend the consul is evil, even when he orders a man's head cut off. It's his duty. Is duty evil?
Christ said, "Render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar, and to God the things that are God's."
I see the truth now. It's evil to give Caesar the worship which belongs to God alone. It's evil to worship the creature rather than the creator of the creature. It's strange. All my life, I have felt this truth dormant inside me.
If you accept this truth, you will live in heaven with God forever. But there's a price to pay. If you refuse to deny this truth, Diocletian's decree condemns you to the block.
I see.
It was not by accident that I came to your door asking for shelter.
Are you trying to tell me that Christ himself sent you to my door?
I'm sure of it. Something inside kept urging me to ask the noble Alban for shelter.
A voice inside you urged you to come to me?
No. That's one great handicap to our faith. So many people keep looking for miracles and signs and omens and everyday occurrences. I have been working in Verulanium for months now, and wherever I went, I heard inspiring stories about Alban, the man of goodwill, the friend of all mankind.
My father taught me that the giver gets more good from his gift than even the neediest receiver.
Christ taught the same wisdom 300 years ago. In addition to your well-known charity, noble Alban, you are also noted for your peaceable nature. There are many stories circulating about your merciful deeds to former enemies.
I think of all my enemies as men with whom I have not yet made friends. My father taught me that hate poisons the hater more than the hated one.
Christ taught the same wisdom 300 years ago. Noble Alban, you have lived as a Christian all your life. You are a man who avoids lust, tolerating no impurity of body in your household.
For that I deserve no credit. My father taught me early to choose between being a man or an animal.
Nevertheless, as Christ himself commanded, you have kept your body pure, a worthy temple for the Holy Spirit.
What are you trying to tell me?
Your past life proves you to be one of Christ's chosen souls. Will you bear witness to Christ in your future life?
If I bear witness to Christ, I will die. And if I die, you'll not only lose my witness, but also that of other men.
Now you're talking in an evil manner.
How so?
You're predicting the future. First of all, you do not know the future. Only God knows.
I may not know the future, but I know that my friend the consul means what he says about killing all Christians.
Do you know if your friend the consul will be alive an hour from now? Furthermore, emperors have changed religions and policies overnight. How do you know that Diocletian will not do so?
You want me to become a Christian now and let my future rest in God's hands.
I want you to trust God to be merciful and generous beyond your wildest hope when your hour of trial arrives.
Priest of Christ, come with me to the wonder water.
God be praised. You wish to be baptized?
Wash me clean of evil, priest of Christ. I love this God whose goodness is beyond all human power to picture. I love this God whose shining face will wipe away all pain and emptiness when I die, and fill me with joy forever. I love this God whose mercy and generosity will sweeten even the death I may have to endure to win his friendship.
Alban and the priest of Christ went out of the house with a small torch to light their way to the Wonder Water. After the baptismal ceremony, the priest of Christ remained in the garden praying. Alban returned to the house to change into dry clothes. Inside the door, Alban found a startling surprise.
Centurion.
Hail, noble Alban.
Oh, what are you doing here?
I've come to arrest the priest of Christ.
Why do you come here?
I watched him bathe you.
Oh. Well, suppose I refuse to surrender him.
Your villa is completely surrounded by my men. You're a good man, noble Alban. Do you wish to see your servants slaughtered?
No.
Then come to the garden and tell the priest of Christ to come quietly with me.
Suppose I told you that I, too, am a Christian.
You are a friend of the consul. Now, let us get the priest of Christ.
You must arrest me, too. I am a Christian also. In addition, I gave shelter to an enemy of the state.
Will you please stop making difficulties? I'm going to arrest the priest of Christ in your garden where he took shelter without your consent.
That isn't true. I'll deny it.
Then you'll get your friend the consul into trouble. Also myself. Do you want that?
No, I don't want that.
If you won't go with me into the garden, at least call out from the doorway for the priest to surrender quietly.
No, wait, I have a better thought. Let me take a hooded cloak out to him and explain what must be done. You wait for him near the big gate. Your prisoner will come to you.
Have it your way. Take him the hooded cloak.
Priest of Christ, take off your clothes.
What?
The Romans have surrounded the villa and you're trapped. Your only chance of escape is to change clothes with me.
Why?
The centurion doesn't know your height, and with the hood hiding my face, he'll have no way of knowing that I have taken your place.
What will happen to you when the consul recognizes you?
Our fate is always in God's holy hands. By baptism, you dedicated me to God. I accepted that dedication. I accepted also its duties and its fruits.
But it is not your duty to die for me.
Now you are speaking in an evil manner.
I evil?
Now you are predicting the future. How do you know that I or the centurion or the consul will live another hour on earth? People often change their minds. Emperor's edicts are not always faithfully obeyed. Who knows whether I am to die or not, except God?
I stand rebuked, and justly so.
Let us change clothes quickly.
Soon after, the centurion smiled with relief as a shadow in a hooded cape joined him near the big gate. The centurion slipped a knotted rope around the prisoner's neck.
Move gently and save yourself a broken neck, friend. Now I'll call in my men. Marcus, Cato, Aurelius, Cicero, come to me at the main gate. Call the others to come in with you. Hurry! We have a new volunteer for martyrdom. This fellow thinks he has an appointment with his God. And we don't want to keep his God waiting.
And so the soldiers of the state marched off with their prisoner. They did not know that the man marching with them was Alban, Britain's first saint, condemned to die for the crime of being a Christian. 17 centuries have passed, and in other lands today,
the soldiers of other autocratic states are still marching prisoners to their death for the crime of being Christians and saints.
The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with the National Council of Catholic Men, presents the Catholic Hour. Today's program will consist of music by a unit of the Polish choristers and an address by Monsignor Fulton J. Sheen. A group of the Polish choristers open the Catholic Hour with the beautiful hymn of St. Thomas Aquinas, Adoro te devote. Musical setting is by Giulio Boss. Monsignor Fulton J. Sheen of the Catholic University of America will now deliver the 8th in his series of 17 addresses on the crises in Christendom. His discourse today is entitled, The Christian Order and Education. I present Monsignor Sheen.
Friends, there are 3 points we should like to make in today's broadcast. First, it is a sound American principle that democracy cannot function without religion and morality. Secondly, American democracy is not presently making provision for religion and morality. Hence, thirdly, the necessity of restoring religious education in order to preserve democracy. First, democracy cannot survive without religion and morality. This is implied in the second paragraph of the Declaration of Independence, which is at the same time a declaration of dependence. For it states that our rights have come to us from God and therefore are unalienable. If our rights come to us from God as rays from the sun, does it not follow that only on condition that we preserve our dependence on God will we preserve our independence from tyranny? As George Washington, whose birthday we celebrate tomorrow, said, "Of all the dispositions and habits which lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports." And further support comes from Calvin Coolidge, who in 1928 stated, "Unless our people are thoroughly instructed in the great truths of religion, they are not fitted to understand our institutions or to provide them with adequate support." President Roosevelt, sensing the same need of religion for democracy, said in 1940, Practical steps should be taken to make more available to children and youth through education the resources of religion as an important factor in the democratic way of life and in the development of personal and social integrity. Religion and morality, therefore, are essential to democracy. Now that brings us to our second point. Namely, democracy at the present time is not making provision in education for religion and morality. About the only group to whom modern religion caters is the group that neither practices nor believes in any religion. As Walter Lippmann said, modern education is based on a denial that it is necessary or useful or desirable for the schools and colleges to transmit from generation to generation the religious and classical culture of the Western world. And Dr. Hutchins, the president of the University of Chicago, in June 1940 expressed exactly the same lament. In order to believe in democracy, he said, we must believe that there is a distinction between the true and false, the good and bad, and the right and wrong. Are we prepared to defend these principles? Of course we are not. For over 40 years and more, our intellectual leaders have been telling us that they are not true. Unquote. The White House Conference of 1940 stated that of the 30 million children in the United States between the ages of 5 and 17, 16 million receive no religious education whatsoever. It was this growing irreligious element which worried and prompted President Roosevelt in 1940 to say, we are concerned about the children who are outside the reach of religious influences and are denied help in attaining faith in an ordered universe and in the fatherhood of God. Nicholas Murray Butler, president of Columbia University, commenting upon the fact that the pagan element alone in our population is given the benefit of tax money, said, even the formal prayer that opens each session of the United States Senate and each session of the House of Representatives, and which accompanies each inauguration of the President of the United States, would not be permitted in a tax-supported school. That's from Dr. Butler. If this condition of ignoring religion and morality existed in less important matters, it would have been remedied long ago. If, for example, it had been discovered that the geography of Russia was left out of our schools, oh, how quickly it would be inserted. Why is nothing done about that which our tradition says is the indispensable condition of democracy? And that brings us now to our third point, the necessity of restoring religious education in order to preserve democracy. Democracy demands that education satisfy not only the atheist, but also the believer in God. For that reason, those interested in the preservation of democracy have suggested that some assistance be given those schools, Episcopalian, Methodist, Baptist, Catholic, Jewish, and others, who are aiding democracy by teaching religion. As Dr. Hutchins put it, the states may, if they choose, assist pupils to attend the schools of their choice. Since we want all American children to get as good an education as they can, since we know that some children will not voluntarily attend public schools, and since we are not prepared to compel them to do so, it is in the public interest to give states permission to use federal grants to help them go to the schools they will attend and to make these schools as good as possible. What possible objection is there to this idea? To this democratic idea that equal opportunities for education be given to all along religious and cultural lines? Well, there's one objection which is rather common. It is this: education should be neutral. And by neutral, the intelligentsia mean that religion should not be taught. Now, this is a fallacy. The fact is, there is no such thing as neutral education. That is to say, an education without morality and religion. Religion and morality are not related to education like raisins to a cake, but like a soul to a body. There can be a cake without raisins, but there cannot be a man without a soul. If education does not inculcate a moral outlook, it will inculcate a materialist, or a communist, or a fascist, or a Nazi outlook. Neutrality is absolutely impossible in education. By the mere fact that religious and moral training is neglected, non-religious, non-moral, and in consequence anti-religious and anti-moral ideology is developed. No indoctrination of religion really means indoctrination of doubt and unbelief. Religion is either included or excluded in education. Hence, a school from which religion is excluded is bound to become irreligious. Now, there is a second objection against extending democracy in education to those who believe in God and morality, and it is this. America was founded on the principle of the separation of the church and the state. This is absolutely true. And we have no desire to change this principle. But our country was not founded on the principle of the separation of religion and the state. Our founding fathers intended that no particular religion should be the national religion, but they never intended that the state should be devoid of religion. It never entered their minds that we would grow up to be a near religious nation. nor did they ever think that education would one day be divorced from God and His commandments. This is evident from the fact that no signer of the Declaration of Independence was educated in a non-religious school. For a century, the United States did not have a president who was educated in a non-religious school. It is true that the First Amendment of the Constitution forbade the establishment of any religion as a national religion. But that was because there was an established religion in 10 of the 13 colonies, the Congregational religion in 3, and the Episcopalian in 7. But the disestablishment of a particular church was not the disestablishment of religion. The fact is that religious schools, Methodist, Presbyterian, Jewish, Episcopalian, Catholic, are in the tradition of true, sound Americanism. It is the non-religious schools that are outside of that glorious tradition. But why do we insist so much on religious education? Because we are entering into an era of history wherein the grave threat to man's freedom will be from the omnipotent state. And once a nation ceases to believe, it begins to obey. As William Penn said, man must be governed by God, or he will be ruled by tyrants. We are coming into the days of omnipotence, where we will live either under the omnipotence of God or squirm under the omnipotence of the state. And godless education has no power to restrain a godless state. For example, when Hitler came into power in 1933, the very first to capitulate were the professors. But the one force which did not surrender was religion, as the Catholic bishops and Pastor Niemöller bear witness. It was the professors who allowed the independent administration of the universities to be abolished. The universities offering no objection to state-elected rectors and deans who were forced upon them by the Nazis. It was indeed a bitter disappointment for all who considered the German universities the defenders of rights and justice. But when one considers that specialization had been carried to such an extreme, and the unified philosophy of life so universally abandoned, it was no surprise that there was no one idea left around which the universities could rally. Given the crises in any country in the world in which totalitarianism threatens the liberty of the citizens, and the first to capitulate will be the non-religious educators. How could it be otherwise? For without a faith, how can they oppose a faith? It will be only those schools that recognize the soul and its creator that will challenge the state which attempts to absorb the soul. Why, therefore, I ask you, impose excessive burdens on those schools which are the safeguard of American freedom and democracy? There's no reason in the world why any school in the United States which teaches religion and morality should be penalized for being patriotic. Nor why it should bear all the expenses of giving to the nation the two supports without which, as George Washington told us, a nation cannot endure. It is not fair. It is not democratic to cater only to the non-religious in education. child who goes to a religious school may walk on the streets maintained by public funds, but in many instances in the United States, he may not ride to school in a bus that is operated at public expense. The state will build a chapel for citizens when they get into a penitentiary. How about building a few schools to prevent them from getting into a penitentiary? We are preparing an army of at least 7.5 million men to defend Christian liberty and justice on the battlefields. How about telling them something about that Christian liberty before we give them a gun? A government of the people, for the people, and by the people should respect the will of those who believe in religion and morality, even though they be in the minority. For democracy is not the custodian of majority privileges. It is the preserver of minority rights. Would it not be a good idea for America to cease talking about the right to worship and to begin talking about the duty to worship? We may need God's help, and need it very badly before this war is over. And it's not too soon to begin asking for it now. For 150 years, we have been celebrating our Bill of Rights. How about teaching the young our Bill of Duties? The first 10 amendments to the Constitution are our Bill of Rights. The 10 commandments of God are our Bill of Duties. And to this end, we beg the Jews and the Protestants and Catholics and the radio audience to spend an hour a day in prayer and meditation for victory and for peace, that our democracy may be preserved by a return to God. To anyone who desires a prayer book suitable for wartime, write to us and we will send it to you free. Given another generation of godless education, and we will be in danger of tyranny. Given religion and morality in education, and we will be the most potent government influence for peace in the world. Then will America be great. And we will love it, not because it is great, but it will be great because we love it in the name of God. And that makes anything great. Not very long ago, a Nazi soldier in occupied France took his French wife and expectant mother into a hospital. Seeing a crucifix on the wall, the Nazi ordered the nun to take it down. She refused. He ordered her again, saying, "I want no child of mine ever to look upon the image of Christ." So the nun, under threat, took it down. And the father's wish was fulfilled to the letter. The child was born blind. And God grant that we may never deny to our American children the right to gaze upon the image of the Savior of the world. God love you. O Lord Jesus Christ, who in thy mercy heareth the prayers of sinners, pour forth, we beseech thee, all grace and blessing upon our country and its citizens. We pray in particular for the President, for our Congress, for all our soldiers, for all who defend us in ships, whether on the seas or in the skies, for all who are suffering the hardships of war. We pray for all who are in peril or in danger. Bring us all after the troubles of this life into the haven of peace, and reunite us all together forever, O dear Lord, in thy glorious heavenly kingdom.
The The address you have just heard was entitled The Christian Order and Education, and was delivered by Monsignor Fulton J. Sheen of the Catholic University of America. This was the 8th in Monsignor Sheen's series of 17 addresses on the crisis in Christendom. A copy of today's talk, as well as the booklet referred to by Monsignor Sheen, The Shield of Faith, may be obtained by writing to the National Council of Catholic Men, Washington, D.C., or to the station to which you are now listening. Incidentally, we're glad to announce that these booklets are now being mailed out as rapidly as possible to the thousands who have requested them. Next Sunday at this time, Monsignor Sheen will deliver another address in this series entitled, On Whose Side Are We? Your announcer is John Patrick Costello. This program has been presented by the National Broadcasting Company and the independent radio stations associated with the NBC network, in cooperation with the National Council of Catholic Men, and came to you from New York. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
This is the Hour of St. Francis. One minute you're on top of the world. You've got everything. Good job, nice family, friends. But, well, it's like standing on a glass mountain. When this thing hits you and you start sliding, you go down. You go down so easy and so gradual that you hardly know you're slipping until you hit bottom. I'm Harry Conroy. I had plenty of danger signals that should have warned me. The first came 7 years ago. It's the morning after a big party, so, well, I'm jittery. I finally decide I'll have to ask Grace to telephone my office.
Shall I tell your secretary that you're taking the usual cure for a cold?
Oh, Grace, don't start that sarcasm again.
Harry, I'm not being sarcastic. I'm just being sensible. How long do you think you're going to get away with this?
What's all the excitement about? If one little shot will fix me up so I can work better, why shouldn't I take it?
1 or 2 or 3. Harry, you're on it all the time now. Look, let's face it. I can smell it all day long and all night, too. You can't chew enough gum to kill it.
Oh, don't read me the riot act, will you? I've got a rotten headache. I only take a couple when I'm feeling low. I get wound up, and it helps me to relax.
You never used to keep a bottle in the bathroom closet.
Oh.
You never used to go overboard at every party. Now you act so silly, I could crown you with something. Like last night.
Oh, what did I do last night that was silly?
You don't even remember.
Of course I do. I remember everything that happened.
Including your imitation of Bob Hollister's limp?
Oh, that was just for laughs.
Well, it certainly was in bad taste. You know, Bob got his leg injured in the war. You were just being downright mean because he got a promotion at the office and you didn't. Oh, I was so ashamed. I could have died.
That Hollister guy gets on my nerves. I've got more brains in my little finger than he has in his whole head.
Yes, but he buckles down and he uses his brains. He doesn't try to talk people into thinking he's a genius.
Oh, I can work rings around Bob Hollister any day.
Well, I'd like to see you.
All right. I'll prove it. From now on, I'm buckling down. No more clowning, no more going overboard. I'm not going to take another drink. Not one. Not until I get my promotion.
Oh, Harry. Harry, I hope so. Darling, I don't mean to nag, but Sometimes I get afraid.
A month later, I get my promotion. It's been a long, thirsty month, but, well, I've stuck it out. A couple of fellows in the office invite me out for a celebration, and I've certainly earned it. But I'm going to be careful. I say, better just give me a beer. See, that's watching it. Beer never hurt anybody. I have 3 beers. That's an awful lot of liquid for what you get out of it. One of the fellows, Tom Lard, starts kidding me. Pal, you look like you're drowning. How about a little chaser? Well, that sounds all right to me. I'm getting waterlogged. And after all, this is my night off. I've proved that I can stop any time I want to.
Harry, how do I know where you've been for the past 2 days? All I know is that a taxi driver brought you to the door at 1 o'clock this morning.
Thanks for wiring me the money to get home, Grace.
Harry, what happened? You promised when you got this job.
Well, I just happened to meet George Raymond. I mentioned I had a little time between trains, and he asked me to have a drink. And I said no, but I'd buy him one, see? And, well, then I thought it wouldn't be very friendly to let him drink alone. All right, Grace, go get a job if you want to, but don't try to say it's because you're lonesome and you get nervous staying around the house all day. All right, then go ahead and say it. I make you nervous staying around the house all day. I'm sitting in a quiet little bar late at night. Lucky Grace is working. Doesn't have to ask me for money. She won't give me any when I'm out of a job, though. She won't even hardly talk to me. I think to myself, well, another double whiskey and then I'll go home. Yeah, where's my wallet? Here it is, but I'm broke. I got paid yesterday, and now I'm broke. Where'd my money go? I had to pay back a couple of fellas. Well, I've got 2 pints stashed away at home. Lucky Grace hadn't thought of looking in the coal chute. She found all my other hiding places. So I start home. I haven't had enough to put me in the usual fog. The house, I try to open the door very quietly.
Oh, Harry. What's the matter? What are you looking at, Harry?
Grace, you...
Oh, I just had a couple. What's the matter with that? I'm celebrating.
Celebrating?
Yeah, it's our wedding anniversary. There isn't any candy or flowers. There aren't any presents. There isn't even a husband. But there's plenty of this around, if you know where to look.
Grace, I forgot.
I didn't forget, Harry. I remembered. As a matter of fact, that's all I've been doing tonight. Remembering. If you don't care, why should I? I don't care about anything. Come on, Harry. Have a drink.
In the morning, we're both hungover. I'm sick and disgusted, and I'm jolted hard. I can't figure out what got into Grace. She snaps out of it faster than I do and goes off to work. Oh, well, maybe she was just putting on an act, trying to scare me. Grace, it's 7 o'clock. Where have you been?
Oh, well, we work late.
In how many cocktail bars? Look, you ought to know why I never take you out to parties anymore. You ought to know why I can't ask anybody to the house. Look at this place. Look at you.
You go away and stay 2 whole days and I'm sick. There's nobody to take care of me. And then you come back with a hangover and you get mad at me because I have a cold and I had to take something.
I do everything I can to stop her. She just laughs and says, why don't you do something about it? I try and I can't. I get desperate. I have to keep one working somehow, keeping up appearances. I use all the tricks, Turkish bath, bromides, aspirin, 2 years of that. Then comes the night I find Grace huddled in a corner in the front room couch.
Hello.
Come on, Grace. I'll help you upstairs.
Oh.
What's the matter?
Nothing.
Nothing but the usual.
Harry, I'm going to have a baby.
A baby? Oh, that's wonderful. That's great.
I can't.
Grace, don't say that.
Us with a baby. In this house. A baby with you and me.
I finally get her into bed. When she falls asleep, I have time to think. A baby. I look at her. What kind of a mother will she make? What kind of a father will I be? The two of us. We can't even take care of ourselves. We're killing ourselves, and we can't stop it. Oh, God, to be clean and sound again. Oh, God, God, help me, help Grace. I see something now as clear as the stars. I'm beat. I'm done for. I'm licked. I kneel down on the floor and I bow my head on the windowsill. How long is it since I've prayed? Now I've got to pray. Oh, God. God, I've been a fool. Forgive me. I don't deserve it, but forgive me this time. Look, God, I'll clear my conscience. I'll go back to church. Help me, God. I can't do it by myself. I can't do anything by myself. Oh, God, don't ever let me forget that.
Harry.
Grace, how do you feel?
I'm sick, Harry. I feel so sick. Harry, I'm going to have a baby.
Yeah, you told me that a little while ago.
I didn't want to tell you when I was like that. I didn't mean to drink so much, Harry. But I was scared.
Oh, scared. Yeah, there's nothing to be afraid of.
I won't do it again.
No.
I hate it. I won't take another drink again.
Yeah, I'm going to stop, too. Look, Grace, we'll help each other.
How?
See? We'll pray.
Pray?
Yeah, we'll pray. See, something just hit me between the eyes. Grace, we can't get out of this by ourselves.
Oh, Harry, maybe you can't, but I can. I'm going to be all right. I have the baby to think about now. That's all I need. The baby.
Every day, I find myself hanging on by a prayer. Every minute, I'm ready to fall, but I don't. I pray, and the power comes to me. Helping Grace is another thing. She's broken her promise twice, but, well, I'm sure she can work things out in her own way. That is, I'm sure, until the evening I come home with an armful of presents for the baby. It's 6 months now. Grace is standing at the head of the stairs. She's weaving back and forth.
Harry, you're late. Where have you been, Harry?
Grace, you stay there. I'm coming right up, honey.
I'll come downstairs if I want you.
Stay there.
This is my house, and I'm sick of you telling me what to do.
The doctor said we would have had a son. Grace lies in the hospital bed. And I sit beside her.
I didn't mean to, Harry. I didn't mean to hurt him. I wanted him.
All right. It was my fault, Grace.
No.
Yes, anything you did, it was my fault, honest. See, I started it. This is the way it ends.
Harry, what am I going to do? I try to stop. I want to stop, but I can't.
Grace, I can't save you. Only God can do that.
I didn't want to believe it.
I know. It hurt your pride. But, Grace, we've got to be put on our knees before we can understand. Well, Grace and I are starting over again. But we're not doing it by ourselves. Nobody can. Yes, it's like trying to climb a glass mountain. You can't ever do it by yourself. You have to reach up and catch hold of God's hand. And then you'll make it. This episode of The Hour of St. Francis, entitled The Glass Mountain, featured Alice Drake and Patrick McGeehan, and was brought to you by the Third Order of St. Francis, whose members with St. Francis pray, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen. For a copy of this program, The Glass Mountain, or the Peace Prayer of St. Francis, write to the Hour of St. Francis in care of this station.
By golly, it's smart to mind your manners.
Yes, boys and girls, it's time to mind your manners with Alan Ludden and his panel of typical teenagers. From the studios of WTIC in Hartford, Connecticut, the National Broadcasting Company presents a teenage discussion session designed for all boys and girls from 8 to 18. Adults are invited to sit in on the meeting, too, so gather round, because here comes the man who's in charge, that man who makes manners fun, Alan Ludden.
Thank you, Ed Anderson, and hello there, boys and girls. It's good to have you all with us again, and it looks like we've got a fine meeting ahead of us today. You've given your panel of typical teenagers some real problems to discuss, and they're all raring to go. So, the meeting is called to order, and the first item of business is for you to meet your panel. As usual, they will introduce themselves, so come on in, panel.
E.J. Kilday, 17 years old, high school senior.
Betty Ann Kelly, 17 years old, high school senior.
Dick Coote, 16 years old, high school junior.
Vanda Thompson, 17 years old, high school senior.
Fred Smith, 15 years old, high school junior.
And to speak for the boys and girls who have not yet reached the teenage, we have our old friend...
Ellen Reed, 12 years old, 6th grade.
Okay, panel, let's go to work. Your first problem was sent to you by a young man who lives in Edwardsville, Kansas. The judges thought that you might bring out some helpful points in your discussion of his problem, so it was selected, and for it, he will receive $5 in savings stamps. Now, this is what your friend in Edwardsville, Kansas asked.
A few years ago, I got into trouble with the law, and now I have a bad reputation. Whenever something is stolen or disappears, I am accused. What can I do to make my reputation good again?
All right, how can this boy improve his reputation? Let's hear first from Fred Smith.
Well, I think by making a good impression all the time and always using good manners is the very best way he could do this.
And he can create the impression that he's a good, honest boy by making his appearances in all cases sound and good. All right, let's hear from Vanda Thompson.
Well, join social clubs, something like the High Y and YM and YMCA, and prove to the community that you are on the right track, because honor lies in honest toil.
Fine, Vanda, we got a saying so early. Let's hear from Betty Ann Kelly.
Well, you're really fortunate in that you've made a mistake and you know that it's wrong. You're willing to correct it. But now you have to try extra hard to prove to people that you have good intentions. And so you must be patient with them and just, well, keep on trying.
All right, E.J., what do you have to say?
This boy can go into some social field and prove that how trustworthy he is. The people will acknowledge him in this, and then the people will give him the benefit of the doubt.
Dick, do you have any ideas for this boy in Edwardsville, Kansas?
Well, the thing he mustn't do is create a bad impression about himself. I mean, he mustn't say things against the people who have accused him of his misdeed, so to speak.
I see. In other words, he must be a little patient with the people who misjudge him. But what about those people who misjudge him? Fred, what do you have to say about that?
Well, I think that they should try and help him all that they can. And if he does join these social organizations, perhaps the Boy Scouts or something like that, and do something for the good of the community, it would help him a great deal.
Fine, and then the people will begin to believe that the boy is on the right track. He made a mistake once, but he's sorry for it, and now he's going to improve himself, and we certainly hope he does. And from us in the panel here, and Mind Your Manners, we hope our friend in Edwardsville, Kansas, learns now that he's made a mistake and can convince his friends that he is now a very fine boy who minds his manners. All right, now, question number 2 comes to us from a young man in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. He asked for the panel's advice about this problem.
My folks are giving me as a graduation present a trip to the West Coast through Yellowstone Park. I think that I ought to stay home and earn some money for college, but my mother thinks that I should go, since it might be the last chance the whole family has to take a vacation together. I know that if I don't go, it will spoil Mother's trip, and yet I really need the money I could earn from a summer job. What is your advice?
Ellen Lee, what do you think about it?
Well, I think that since the mother and father wish him to go and seeing that they must have taken an awful long time to plan everything, I think that he should go along with them, for it's true he'll be going away to college for about 4 years, and he won't be seeing them all that time.
Fine. You think that it's a good idea for families to stick together and have fun when they have a chance?
Yes, I do.
Dick Coot, what do you think?
Well, that's what I was just going to say, that family life is probably the most important thing that happens in a person's youth, and that it should be stressed completely. And
fine. In other words, he should enjoy the relationship of a happy family on a trip like this. Fred Smith, what do you think?
Well, I think that he definitely should go because besides having a wonderful time and having this family relationship, he would learn a great deal from it because travel is the number one way of learning.
Fine. Vanda, what do you think?
Well, Mother is right in that point because, after all, it may be your last time. You probably will be going to college, and it'll probably be the last time you'll be able to be together. And also, I don't think you should hurt your family's feelings by refusing to go. After all, she is sacrificing the idea. She'll probably have to pay for your college career. And, I still think you should go.
Good. Well, this boy wants to know, though, he wants to go, evidently, but he does feel that he ought to earn money for college. Now, he's got a choice to make. He's still going to college. Betty Ann Kelly, what do you say?
Well, this vacation won't make any difference about you're actually going to college, and if you're worried about the money, perhaps you can work during your college days, and, well, I wouldn't worry too much about that. After all, it's the last time you'll have with your family, and you ought to take advantage of it. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
Fine. Do you have the same thing to say, E.J.?
Yes, I was going to say exactly the same thing, that he could work his way through college, and also that this will be his last chance to please his mother and family before going to college.
Fine. Well, then I think our panel is of one mind. We do recommend to our friend in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, that he by all means take the vacation with his family and get to college some way. We sure he will, and we hope he has a nice trip. Now, panel, your attention is invited to your adult discussion questions. As you know, we reserve a section of these weekly meetings to consider problems submitted by our adult listeners. Last week, we talked about the problem of going to college. It was originally presented to us by an interested adult who lives in Hartford. But this week, we had many letters from other adults who asked that we continue the discussion. Certainly, this is a timely problem right now, and there are lots of teenagers and parents who are giving the question of going to college very serious consideration. So we want to hear more from you, panel. First of all, let's talk about when a boy or girl should start planning to go to college. Dick Coot.
I think you should start in freshman year in high school or sophomore year at the highest.
As soon as he goes into high school, he should begin to... How do you plan to go to college, Betty Ann Kelly?
Well, you have to plan your course, and if you intend to go to college, you should, just take the college course. And you'll have to keep up your grades through all 4 years of high school in order to get into a good college, so you have to watch out right away.
In other words, don't start worrying about your grades when you're a senior. Worry about them from the time you entered high school. Is that right?
That's right.
Vanda, what word do you have to boys and girls who say are just now entering high school and who don't know for sure whether they want to go to college?
Well, I'd say to them, go to college, and we'll take the general course, and maybe after a few years you will realize and you can specialize in this course.
Oh, well, then you misunderstood my question, I'm afraid. I want to talk to the boys and girls who are just entering high school and who are not sure they want to go to college after they finish high school.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'd tell them to take the college course, because after a few years you may want to go to college, and then if you don't, certainly a college course is not going to hurt you, even though it is a little more work.
In other words, always get that, in case you can go, don't slight those college requirements. Is that your word?
That's it. But also, for those who know what they're going to be, I suggest they go to a special college or a special school and take the subject, because that'll be benefit them a lot more than the college will, because knowledge itself is power, no matter where you are.
Fine. All right. Now let's talk about this. What if a boy or girl, now say we're talking to the seniors in high school right now, what if the boy or girl doesn't know exactly what he wants to be when he grows up, and he doesn't have any specific career in mind? Should he go to college, Betty Ann Kelly?
Oh, yes, he should. The first 2 years in college they aren't special. You can take the general course, and it isn't until your junior year that you start to major, so you have plenty of time to make up your mind.
Well, even if you don't make up your mind at your junior year, Fred Smith, what should a boy or girl who doesn't know what he wants to be, doesn't want to be a doctor or a lawyer or what else? What other profession? School teacher? He just wants to make some money. Do you think he ought to finish college then?
Oh, definitely, because the more knowledge you have, the better you'll be able to succeed in this world. And a lot of knowledge never hurt anyone.
Fine. In other words, a background is created by going to college that anybody can use in later life. Well, now, what about these reasons for going to college that people have around here? We've got a lot of seniors listening to our program, I hope. There are lots of different reasons for going to college. What about this very popular reason of going to college for the social aspects of the life there, the meeting of the boys and girls, the right people, as it were? E.J. Kildee, what about that reason for going to college?
This is just out. I mean, no one goes to college nowadays just to belong to the big sorority or the fraternity or something like that. But what I wanted to say is that it's never too late to go to college. Even though your marks are poor, you could take aptitude exams or a postgraduate course or something like that you should go if you can.
Fine. I'm glad you brought that out, E.J. If, for instance, you didn't plan to go to college when you entered high school, you changed your mind the last half of your senior year, your grades aren't quite good enough, you haven't taken the right courses, you can still go to college if, one, you can take aptitude exams, can't you?
That's right.
Or you can take postgraduate courses, correspondence courses. By all means, then, we recommend that you do go to college, and I'm afraid we've got to wind up this discussion. Maybe we can talk about it again next week if our listeners would like to hear us. Incidentally, Mind Your Manners is your show, boys and girls, and when we say that, we mean just that. We are anxious to talk about those problems that are uppermost importance in the lives of every teenager. So if there is more to be said on this subject of college, and you would like to hear the panel discuss it further, drop us a note and let us know your wishes. And to our adult listeners, I would like to say again that we are very anxious to hear your ideas for this section of our meeting designed to consider the problems sent in by you. I want to thank you for your fine letters, and we hope you will continue to send them on to us. Now, for all you boys and girls who write, we have prizes. And here is your old friend Ed Anderson to tell you all about them.
Yes, boys and girls, if you have a question about social behavior at home, at school, or at parties, send it in to Mind Your Manners, and you may win one of those fine prizes. Each week, we award a $25 security bond to the writer of the best stated and most interesting question. And for the 5 other questions selected for discussion, Mind Your Manners awards $5 in savings stamps. All entries become the property of this program. In case of ties, duplicate prizes will be awarded. The decision of our judges is final. Contest closes at midnight on Wednesday of each week. Entries received after that date will be considered for the following week's contest. So, boys and girls, remember, Mind Your Manners is your show, and we want your problems. Send all entries to this address. Mind Your Manners, Department 4, NBC, 30, Rockefeller Plaza, New York 20, New York. Send your questions in today.
Now let's see who won $5 in savings stamps for sending our third teenage problem to be submitted to the panel. The winner is May Catherine Flowers, who lives in Tampa, Florida, and she asked this question.
My boyfriend and I are graduating from junior high school this spring, and I would like to get him a graduation present. I'm afraid that it might embarrass him if I give him a gift and he doesn't give me one. Should I go ahead and take that chance?
All right, here's a girl graduating from junior high school. Let's hear from Ellen Lee, our authority from the younger set. Ellen Lee, what should she do? Should she give her boyfriend a present?
Well, yes, as the saying goes, you don't need to give to people in expecting to receive. And, well...
You got a saying there. Let's Vanda put that saying straight. She's our authority on sayings.
It's more blessed to give than to receive.
That's from the Bible, isn't it?
That's right.
All right, now, Ellen Lee, let's go on. You say by all means go ahead, and if she wants to give the present to the boy, go on and give it.
Yes.
Now, what kind of gift, though, Ellen Lee, should you give a boy who's graduating from junior high school?
Well, you don't have to give him anything that's so expensive, like a wallet or something, or a picture photo. You can buy them, and they have all the celluloid that you can put your pictures in.
Oh, a frame. A frame for a picture would be a good present for a boy, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
What about giving, say, if you had a boyfriend, Ellen Lee, I won't ask you if you do, but if you had a boyfriend, would you give him a picture of you if you were graduating from junior high school?
Well, no, not necessarily, because his mother's picture comes before.
Well, that's a very nice girl. You see, she's 12 years old. Now, I wonder how long she's going to think that. But all right, Ellen Lee, I want to go on to these seniors, or these high school students a moment. What kind of gifts should we give boys who are graduating from high school? Let's hear from Fred Smith.
Well, I think that they should be small, impersonal gifts, probably. Well, I think a subscription to some sport magazine would be a very good idea.
Fine, that's a good idea. And any, Ann Kelly?
And records are a good idea, and books, and,
Fine.
a wallet.
Anything not too expensive or not too personal. That is our recommendation. All right? We hope we helped me, Catherine Flowers in Tampa, Florida, and I hope the boyfriend enjoys the gift. And now it's time to hear from our studio audience. So, how about it, audience? Are you ready for your right-wrong quiz? Now, here's all you have to do. Listen carefully to a statement that Eddie Robbins is going to make. Decide whether that statement is right or wrong, and then hold up your hand. Ed Anderson is out there among you, and he's going to pick a boy or a girl whose hand went up first, and then that boy or girl will speak for the audience. If the chosen audience member tells us correctly whether Eddie's statement was right or wrong, the audience receives 20 points. You know, last week the audience's score was 80, so let's see how well you all do today. Now, here's Eddie Robbins and our first right-wrong statement.
When a boy and a girl who know each other only slightly meet on the street, it is the girl's place to speak first.
Now, is that right or wrong? What do you think about it?
Young redheaded lady, if you'll just step over to our mic. I can't quite reach her.
All right, let's hear from her. Now, is that statement right or wrong?
I think it's wrong.
You think it's wrong? Do you think the boy should speak first?
Yes, I think it's the voice part. And sometimes
Oh, well, now, I'm afraid you missed that question. We don't get any points for that. No, the young lady should speak first when the boys and girls meet in the street and they don't know each other too well. What's your name, incidentally?
Joan Ridley.
Joan, I'm sorry you missed that point, but we're very glad you're here, and here's a little gift for you. All right, here's your second right-wrong statement.
It's always a good idea to wipe off the silverware with a napkin when you were eating out. This is not only a sanitary measure, it is considered perfectly proper.
Oh, a lot of hands up. Is that question right or wrong? Let's hear from this boy right here.
It's wrong.
That's wrong. You do not wipe off your silverware with a napkin any place, do you? All right, what's your name?
Jack Roach.
Well, how old are you, Jack?
15.
Fine, you got that right. You don't wipe off your silverware with a napkin. That's 20 points for our audience. Okay, here's the third one.
Boys 10 years old are expected to know how to acknowledge an introduction gracefully.
Boys 10 years old. Let's hear. There's some boys right there. What do you think about it?
No.
No, you don't have to acknowledge an introduction gracefully at 10?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. I don't know. I think you got the right. We'll give you 20 points for that. What's your name?
Anthony Piscatello.
Anthony, then you're 10. How old are you, incidentally?
12.
12. Well, you know how to acknowledge an introduction gracefully, don't you?
Yes.
Glad to meet you. Very fine. All right. Thank you. Here's a little gift for you. Here's our third one. You got 40 points, audience.
A smart teenage girl tries to wear her hair in as many different hairstyles as possible. Never the same way twice is a good model for teenage hairstyles.
All right. Let's hear from a young lady. Here
This
she
young
is.
lady will have to come over to the mic, too.
Here she is. What do you think about
That's wrong.
it? That's wrong. How should teenage girls wear their hair?
They should wear it the way that it suits them.
Very simple, very flattering, but not change it. Not a lot of fancy hairstyles. Every time a boy sees a girl, he doesn't want to see her with different kinds of hairdos, does he? What's your name?
Betty Curtis.
Betty, I'm awfully glad you're here. Here's a little gift for you. Now, the audience now has 60 points. All right, here is your last one. Let's see if you can at least beat the score meet the score of last week.
When a girl takes an umbrella out on a date, the boy should always carry it for her.
All right, lots of hands up. What do you think about it? Here's a boy coming over to the microphone. What do you think about this manner of taking a girl who takes an umbrella out?
Yes, I think it's the boy's place to carry everything a girl takes on a date.
Oh, you do? Now, I don't know what to... Now, what about a girl who takes a purse, a great big purse? Does the boy have to carry that?
Everything that isn't a girl's apparel other than the purse a boy has to carry.
Oh, I see. You mean when you go out on a date... How old are you, incidentally?
I'm 16.
Well, when you go out on a date and a girl has a very fancy little silk umbrella, do you carry it for her?
You bet your life I do.
Oh, you do? Well, you're a fine gentleman, and I don't think we can in any case recommend that a boy refuse to carry a girl's umbrella. It is not necessarily true that he must, though. Girls should be expected to carry their own accoutrement, as it were. However, audience... He had such a good argument, he talked me out of it, so the audience gets 80 points. And that winds up our audience right-wrong quiz for this meeting. And your score was, as I said, 80. We hope you'll see you next week when we have a quiz then. Right now, we move back to our prize-winning questions. And for our fourth question, we're sending $5 in savings stamps to a young lady in Zachary, Louisiana. It's your turn again, panel, so let's hear what you have to say in answer to this girl's question.
I am 18 years old, and my friends say that I'm very pretty. Lots of boys have asked me for dates, but my mother will not allow me to go out with boys. She says there's plenty of time for that. Lately, the boys are asking me less often, and soon I'm sure they won't ask me at all. What can I do to convince my mother she is wrong?
All right, here's the problem. We've had lots of questions like this. Let's hear first from Betty Ann Kelly.
Well, you'll just have to have a nice, long talk with your mother, and I hope she's listening to Mind Your Manners. But you'll have to prove to her that you can go out with boys and that you know how to conduct yourself properly. And bring in some of your girlfriends and show her that they go out with boys, and, well, they're perfectly nice girls, and that you really ought to have a chance.
Do you think, Betty Ann Kelly, that a girl 18 should be allowed to go out with boys?
I certainly do, because dating is the only way you'll ever get to meet boys, and when you do come to the age to be married, how are you ever going to pick the right one if you don't go out with them and get some basis of what to choose?
All right, Vanna, what do you think?
Well, maybe the mother is thinks she's waiting for the right boy to come along so the girl can meet him. But how is she ever going to meet this right boy if she can't go out on dates?
All right, what do you think about it, Fred Smith? How old do you think, Fred? I'm going to put you on the spot here. How old do you think a girl should be when she first starts to have dates?
You sure did put me on the spot. I think that it depends a great deal on the girl herself. It's probably 14 or 15.
Well, you got out of that spot pretty well, Fred. And when you said it depends a lot on the girl, the situation at home, and the situation of the town in which she lives. All right, Fred, do you think that this girl should convince her mother, she's 18, do you think she should convince her mother that it's high time that she goes out with the right boys and if she conducts herself properly?
Very definitely, because if she doesn't have the opportunity to go out with boys, she will not have the opportunity to gain the poise and self-confidence which she should have.
All right, panel, as one body, what do you think? Should she go out at 18 with boys?
Yes.
All right, that's our recommendation to the young lady in Zachary, Louisiana, and we hope she convinces her mother that our recommendation is right. Now, before we move on to our fifth problem, I'd like to pause a moment and invite all of you boys and girls who are listening in right now to drop us a line. If you have any sort of problem about social behavior that you would like to hear the panel discuss, send it along to Mind Your Manners. EJ is going to give you our address again at the close of the meeting. And remember, if your question is selected for discussion, you'll receive one of our fine prizes, just like Dennis Leslie Johnson, who lives in Moline, Illinois. Dennis wins $5 in savings stamps for sending this problem for consideration by the panel.
I'm 10 years old, and most of my friends have BB guns. I want one, too, but my mother says I'll have to wait until I'm 21. What should I do?
All right, what about a 10-year-old boy and a BB gun, Fred Smith?
Oh, I think that 10 years is very young to have any kind of dangerous thing like that. But no matter when he's getting the BB gun, whether it be 10 or 21 or any time, they should teach him how to use it and how to be very careful with it.
All right, Dick Coote, what do you think about it?
Well, I don't think that he really doesn't even need a BB gun, because I know I never had one, and right now I certainly don't miss not having one.
And what about a boy 10? You're quite an expert with guns, aren't you? What do you have to say to boys and girls and guns in general, not necessarily just BB guns?
Well, thanks for the compliment on being an expert, but there are gun clubs around. Every town or city has them. And I suggest that as soon as, whatever the age limit is, to join the gun club, and they teach you how to handle guns. But also, Dad naturally, or probably does, know how to handle a gun, and he certainly can teach the daughters and the sons.
But do you think that boys and girls at 10 or 12 or 14 even should just be given a gun?
Oh, no, definitely not. They should be taught how to care for the gun and what to do first when you first pick up a gun, like opening the bolt action, make sure there are no bullets.
All right, we can't give instructions right now, but we do say certainly to all boys and girls that before you take a gun of your own and out in the field, learn how to handle it and don't expect to have one of your own right away. Learn first how to handle a gun. They're very dangerous. And now we come to the high point of our meeting, the grand prize question of the week. The judges decided that the best stated and most interesting letter that was sent to Mind Your Manners this week was sent by Nina Newland of New Orleans, Louisiana. Our congratulations to Nina. We're sending her a $25 security bond, and the panel is all set to talk about her problem. Panel, your best attention is invited to the grand prize question of the week.
I have been asked to join the outstanding social sorority in our high school. I'm very anxious to join because all of the nicest students belong to social sororities. My parents are hesitant about giving their consent. They feel that social sororities are fine for college, but they're out of place in high school. We have agreed to abide by your group's decision, and so would like your honest opinion of what I should do.
All right, here's a very ticklish problem, panel. Let's hear first from Betty Ann Kelly.
I don't think you should join the sorority. First of all, sororities put a barrier between you and the other girls in your class, and they make you seem in a special class and just above everyone else, and they certainly don't make for any equality or any true love in school, and they have no place in high schools.
In other words, your vote is against high school sororities, Betty Ann.
It certainly is.
All right, let's hear from Dick Coote. What's your idea?
Well, I think that you should join the sorority if, as you said, your friends are in there, or the nicest people are in the sorority, then you should...
What do you mean by nicest people, though, Dick? We've got to get that defined, I think.
Well, I should think that the girl would mean her best friend.
In other words, people who are your best friends that you think are the nicest people.
Yes.
And in other words, in teenage language, nice people are those people that you enjoy. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Fine, I'd like to get that defined. All right, Dick, what's your argument, though, for sororities, social sororities in high school?
Well, I admit that I don't think they're necessary completely.
Oh.
But I do think that if there is one there, that you should join it if your friends are in it.
Fine. Now, Vanda, what's your idea on this subject?
Well, I believe in equality, and so therefore I don't think sorority should be in high school, especially there, because you're put in a sort of a higher class when you do belong to the sorority.
Well, let's not say higher class.
Well,
let's say a separate class.
A separate class.
All right, fine.
And, people just... you think you're supposed to be looked up to.
All right. In other words, you do think that they are apart from the large majority of the high school students.
That's it. I think
so your recommendation of Nina is what? That you join or not join?
Not join.
All right. That's 2 for, 1 against. 2 against, 1 for. Now, Ellen Lee, what do you think about it? You're 12 years old. What about high school sorority? Should Nina join or not?
Well, I think it would be all right. But, if it turns out to be snobbish and that they think that she's no good because she's joined there, she left all her friends out. Well,
all her friends are in, Ellen.
Well, then I think it would be all right because sometimes it might do her some good and she'd have someone to talk with and someone to help her with her work.
All right, now that's 2 for and 2 against. Now let's hear from Fred Smith.
I don't think that she should join a sorority in high school because, for one thing, it causes too many hard feelings. I think that the best way to prove her social standing is by her poise and her manners not necessarily by joining these sororities.
All right, haven't got much more time, but EJ, what's your vote in the matter?
Quickly, I'm not against these frats and sororities in high school, but I am in a fraternity myself. And I say to this girl, investigate the sorority, and if you think it is acceptable, join it. I don't think there is any... In some sororities and fraternities, I know there is that class distinction, and that's why there is so much dislike for these fraternities and sororities.
All right. Now, our vote then is what? 3 for and 3 against?
That's right.
Well, I hate to leave it up in the air like this. Maybe we can talk about this problem again. I'd like to hear from our audience on this question. Right now, though, you do kind of favor by all means that she look carefully into the sorority before she joins it, don't you, Pat?
Yes.
All right. And unless she feels a real need for it and the sorority has something to offer her and the rest of the school, be careful. But there are 3 definitely opposed to it. All right. Now let's open up our answer box to find the answers to those questions that have been sent in, but that were not selected for discussion here with the panel. Today, the first question to come from our answer box is...
From a boy in New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm a slow runner, and all the kids laugh at me. What can I do about it?
Well, you run as fast as you can, do the best you can, and pay no attention to what the kids say. Soon you'll find that they respect you for trying.
From a girl in Osceola, Wisconsin. I go quite steady with a boy who is out of school, but a boy in school has asked me to the spring prom. I like both boys, and I don't know which boy to choose for the prom date. What do you think?
Well, we think that since the prom is a school affair, you might be wise to go with a schoolmate. Your friend who is out of school will no doubt understand if you explain it honestly and sincerely.
From a boy in Dover, Florida. Is it correct to send graduation invitations to relatives that you have not seen for years?
Yes, graduation is a real milestone. Your relatives will be very happy that you thought of them when announcing an event of such importance. And there it goes. The top just popped back on the answer box, and it looks like the time for this meeting is just about gone. But before we adjourn the meeting, let's hear from our panel one more time.
This is Betty Ann Kelly, thanking all the boys and girls and the adults who wrote to us this past week. We enjoyed your letters, and we certainly hope you will continue to be a part of our program.
This is Fred Smith with an invitation to you to join us next week. And bring your friends, won't you?
This is Ellen Lee, speaking to the boys and girls who are not yet teenagers. Remember, this is your show, too.
This is Dick Coop with another word to the adults. If you have an idea for our adult discussion period, please send it along to us. We really appreciate your interest.
This is Vanda Thompson reminding you to be sure and put your full name and address on your letters.
And this is E.J. Kilday with our address. Send your cards or letters to Mind Your Manners, Department 4, NBC, 30, Rockefeller Plaza, New York 20, New York.
Well, panel, you did a good job today, and I'm sure I'm speaking for all of our listeners when I congratulate you on your good sense and imagination. We're all looking forward to next week's meeting, so don't be late, anybody. I'll be calling Mind Your Manners to order about this same time next week. So have a wonderful week and drop us a line, won't you? This is Alan Ludden saying goodbye now.
Yes, boys and girls, this is your show. If you have a problem about social behavior, either at home, at school, or at parties, send it in to Mind Your Manners. You may win one of those 6 prizes. Remember, the best question receives the $25 security bond. Mind Your Manners is written and conducted by that man who makes manners fun, Alan Ludden. He'll be back with his panel of typical teenagers next week at this same time. This is Ed Anderson saying we hope to see you then, and in the meantime, remember...
By golly, it is smart to mind your manners.
Mind Your Manners has come to you from the studios of WTIC in Hartford, Connecticut. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they bring unto thee pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamps to burn continually in the tabernacle of the congregation. And it shall be a statute forever in your generations.
The eternal light. The National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations present The Eternal Light, a program which comes to you under the auspices of the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Our story today is by Morton Wishengrad and is entitled The Trolley Bible of the Broadway Line. Featured as Brian Hannon is Carl Swenson. Edgar Staley is the narrator.
Amsterdam Avenue. Transfer here for the 125th Street cross town.
Good night, driver.
Good night.
This your last trip tonight?
That it is. It's to the garage with the bus and home for me.
Some people have all the luck. I got to work tonight.
A very good night to you, sir. Watch your step getting off.
Her father danced brightly, her mother cried quietly. They held her so tightly she cried in alarm. I played in the wildwood with elves of my childhood. Dear father and mother, they did me no harm. They are the good people who sleep in the steeple. They are the good people who prance on the green. They hide in the wildwood, they're gay as in childhood. Their pride and their joy is the good fairy queen.
In all of the city of New York, only one bus driver can sing such words to such a melody. I know him well. Brian Hannon is his name. Several times each month, when I enter a Broadway bus...
Oh, no, you don't, Professor. Put away that nickel.
But, Mr. Hannon...
Not in my bus, Professor. You ride as my guest.
It is likely that I am the only individual who enjoys a traveling scholarship from the 3rd Avenue Transit Corporation.
Step to the rear of the bus, please. Kindly move to the rear of the bus. Oh, no, not you, Professor.
You're rather busy today, Mr. Hannon.
Well, I like it busy. Makes the day pass.
His great bulk fills the driver's seat like some pale-faced, blue-eyed Buddha. His eyes are fixed on the traffic, but his mind is fixed on other things. Strange things to preoccupy a bus driver.
Professor, I have considered the matter for a long time.
You have, Mr. Hannon?
Yes, I have, sir. It is my opinion that the scholars have made a mess of the 15th verse of the 3rd chapter of the Book of Genesis.
Excuse me, driver. Forgot to ask for transfers.
How many, madam?
2, please. Thank you.
Don't mention it. Professor, what is the Hebrew word for seed?
Zerah.
Exactly. In the Gaelic, it's shield.
Driver, do you pass Columbia University?
Madam, we never pass a university. We always stop.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, Professor, in Latin, the word for seed is semen. It is significant, sir, that the Hebrew zera and the Gaelic shield are masculine in gender, while the Latin semen is feminine, and the English seed is neutral. 116th Street. Kindly leave by the center door, please.
Driver, can you change a $10 bill?
In the city of New York, on the Broadway route of the 3rd Avenue Transit Corporation, a scholar drives a bus. And it is appropriate that his route takes him between the Union Theological Seminary on the one side and the Jewish Theological Seminary on the other, past Columbia University to Midtown Times Square, and east down 42nd Street, under the shadow of the great Fifth Avenue Public Library. There is a seamliness in this. Brian Hannon is bus driver, historian, biblical scholar, poet. Who is he? How did he come to me and I to him? For Brian Hannon is a Roman Catholic, and I am an associate professor of rabbinics. Brian Hannon's story begins in County Galway, Ireland. 26 years ago, the black and tans of the British Army of Occupation had a question for Brian Hannon.
Good day to you. Proprietor, I said good day to you. It's a civil English greeting which even the Irish may understand and answer.
What do you want?
Your name is Brian Hannon.
It could be. What do you want?
Mr. Hannon, I prefer a civil tone.
What do you want?
Mr. Hannon, you will alter your tone.
The black and tans are not welcome in this shop, and I will use whatever tone I please.
Mr. Hannon, I would speak differently if I were in your place.
I am Irish, and Ireland is my place. And it is not for you to instruct me what I'm to say in my own place.
Brian Hannon, several troop lorries were blown up last night.
I'm glad to hear it.
I am not amused.
I did not say it to amuse you.
Mr. Hannon, you're insolent.
That is the first decent thing you said to me since you came in.
Where were you last night, Hannon?
You would not expect me to say that I was busily engaged in blowing up British troop lorries.
No, I wouldn't.
Very well. Last night, I was memorizing my catechism.
You are a liar.
That is not unlikely.
Hannon, you will receive no further warnings. We know that you are a member of the Irish Republican Army. We know that the IRA has been gun running. We know that the IRA is responsible for blowing up our lorries. Now, I've come here in order to tell you that we've lost patience. England insists on peace in Ireland. We want peace, and we're going to have peace.
Sir?
Yes?
If the English honestly desire peace...
We do.
Let them stay in England.
What is it, Sean? I count 6 lorries in the North Field.
Our information says there should be 10.
6 is all I could see.
Who's guarding them?
1 soldier.
Black and tan?
Aye.
Black and tans are not soldiery. Every hoodlum in England is in the black and tans.
Hannon, you don't mean to kill him?
No. I mean to stop the killing of Irish men and women. And a moment more, Sean. When the moon is clouded, you know what to do.
I begin the lorries while you distract the guard.
Good.
Hannon, what will you do to the guard?
Persuade him that honest men ought never to come between the people and their country.
How will you persuade him?
When I was a lad, I was fullback on the football team. There are ways of persuasion. There goes the cloud over the moon. Now it is customary, Sean, at such a moment, to speak a stirring phrase for Irish independence. No phrase comes to mind. 'Tis a pity. Come, lad, we've work to do.
Goodbye to her fairy companions and swiftly ran home, and as swiftly shed tears. Her father was older, her mother soon told her that she had been lost for the past 7 years.
Who's there?
An Irishman.
What are you doing there?
I take it as the fact I was singing
It's probably open to doubt.
Is it a strange time of night to be singing?
On the contrary, song is the only justification for a man to be awake at this hour.
Don't move it or shoot.
Now, sir, what is your justification for being awake at this hour?
You heard what I said. I'll shoot if you move.
If that is Ireland's objection to the English army, I'll shoot if you move, says England. But the man and the people must move to live. I breathe air. My heart beats. I must move this hand, you see, and this one.
Oh, take that.
Now, man, I have no wish to hurt you, and you best be quiet. Sean. Yes, sir. The guard here is entering upon a state of persuasion. You may proceed with the lorry. Yes, sir.
There were other incidents in Brian Hannon's life during the Irish Rebellion which he has not told me. But in 1924, he married Elizabeth Cronin in County Cork. And in 1927, Brian Hannon opened his Gaelic Bible and said,
Inish, Iduich, in Chianare Abram. Irie, Roat, Astahir, Agasod.
Hannon, what is that you're saying?
The word of God.
Well, then say it in a tongue I can understand.
Gaelic is the Irish language.
But I am Irish, but I cannot understand it. Read it in English.
Very well. Now the Lord said unto Abraham, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto the land that I will show thee.
Brian Hannon, are you going away?
I'm leaving for America.
Why?
I cannot stay and abide the things that are done here.
I know the feeling.
They say there are a few Irish in America.
I'd be sorry to see you and Elizabeth go.
I'll not be sorry to go. Maybe in America I can help Ireland.
In the year 1927, Brian and Elizabeth Hannon came to America as immigrants. But a great part of them was left behind in Ireland. The Ireland which includes Belfast as well as Dublin.
It seems a shame that Irish men and Irish women cannot speak the Irish language.
There is nothing you can do about that.
There is something. There is the Gaelic Bible. That's a difficult book. Perhaps I can make it less difficult.
And so Brian Hannon came to America with a project. He would write a new Bible in Gaelic. But scholars must live. And so he applied for employment in New York City.
So, Mr. Hannon, you wish to be employed as a motorman by the 3rd Avenue Transit Corporation?
Yes, sir.
I must know something of your habits. Do you drink?
Tea. Hot tea and strong by the quart.
Do you smoke?
I gave it up.
And so, when was that?
When I was 8.
What would you say your disposition was?
Quarrelsome.
Mr. Hannon, what leads you to believe that you should be employed by the 3rd Avenue Transit Corporation?
In the first place...
Yes?
I have a good hand and a good eye.
Granted.
Second, I am as intelligent as some.
That's plain.
I have the constitution of a horse.
Go on.
And I can stand a reasonable amount of abuse.
Brian Hannon, you're hired.
Thank you, sir. I have picked the route I want. The Broadway line. I'm intrigued by the libraries along the way. Also, sir, I should like the 2 o'clock to midnight shift. It is a schedule that permits morning scholarship.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes, sir.
I wonder, Mr. Hannon, have you been hired by the Third Avenue Transit Corporation, or is it you who has hired the corporation?
That will be demonstrated when I receive my first week's wages.
Careful getting off, please. This was his life from 2 o'clock in the afternoon until midnight.
Have your fares ready. Use both doors getting on.
But only from 2 o'clock on. In the morning, Brian Hannon led another existence.
The book you wish is very precious.
I will be responsible, madam.
Are you a university graduate, sir?
I am a graduate of the New York Public Library. Do I sign here, madam?
This is how the years passed for Brian Hannon. A son was born to Elizabeth.
We'll name him Brian, after you.
And a book was born to Brian Hannon Sr.
The Bible Made Easy.
It was a multiple birth.
Volumes 1, 2, and 3. Volume 4 and Volume 5 will be done in a few years.
Now a trolley runs on a single track, but a scholar's mind may run in several directions. Perhaps it was because of his son, who had been born in America, that Brian Hannon turned to the study of American history. He published a work called 3 American Commodores, and not long after, a motorman of the Third Avenue Transit Corporation received an unusual citation.
I am pleased to inform you that you have been voted an honorary member of the Naval History Society.
It was about this time that Brian Hannon appeared in my office in the library.
Professor, I should like to make the library a gift of my book.
I'm grateful, Mr. Hannon. Haven't I seen you somewhere before?
Do you frequent the public library?
Oh, rarely.
The Columbia Library?
Even less often.
Then it must be the Trolley. Oh, of course. You're the gentleman who makes a practice of handing me $5 bills.
And you are the motorman who makes a practice of giving me half my change in pennies.
Well, I am very glad to meet you, Professor.
Mr. Hannon, you'll never know what your pennies do to the lining of my pocket.
Professor, you will never know what your $5 bills do to the lining of my disposition.
That was the beginning of a friendship. In our seminary library, we have a very rare and valuable first edition of the Gaelic Bible. I showed it to Brian Hannon.
It is enough to make a man cry. Each day I spend 15 minutes to an hour waiting for the book at the public library, and you have it here.
And so, beginning then, Brian Hannon continued his biblical research in the seminary library. It was scholarship which had an unusual accompaniment.
I want to sing, my heart is gay. I want to dance the hours away. I want to run through dell and lea. I want to go to Grandmammy.
Mr. Hannon.
Oh, excuse me. Was I singing?
You were.
A very fine song. I wrote it myself. Little Red Riding Hood. I made it up for little Brian. I do not approve of Grimm's fairy tales for children. They're much too grim.
That's true.
With your permission, Professor?
You may have it, Mr. Hannon.
Thank you, sir.
But not too loud.
Oh, I abhor loudness. We'll see the deer and hare at rest. We'll see the wren in mossy nest. We'll fish for trout and chase the bee. dance beneath the apple tree. That's very fine. Did you also compose the tune? Well, the air is a variant of the White Cockade. A fine melody sung by the Irish Brigade at Fontenoy in 1745 and by the Colonial Minutemen at Concord in 1775.
You must write it out for me. I have a friend who'd enjoy that melody.
No doubt, Professor.
It is very safe to claim that there is not another employee of the Third Avenue Transit Corporation like Brian Hannon. I've known him through the great crises of his life. There was a period when he did not appear at the library.
Little Brian.
Something's happened to your son?
The lad's dead. Playing commando. He fell and was hurt inside. It'll be hard for his mother.
He does not laugh so much since then, and his face is somewhat paler. But Brian Hannon is still the scholar by day and the bus driver by afternoon and night. Yes, now it's a bus.
For a while I held out against it. But now I like the bus. You can stop on a thin dime. That something could not be said for the trolley.
I shall tell you one final thing about him. He is a Roman Catholic, studying in the library of a Jewish seminary, but he presents his books to the Protestant Cathedral of St. John the Divine.
We thank you for your gifts, Mr. Hammond.
Well, here is a new work, Canon. The first chapter of my modernized Gaelic Bible.
Mr. Hammond, is this the Bible you will send to Ireland?
Yes, Father. When it is finished.
Ireland has its independence now.
But it needs its own culture.
The Bible says, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech.
You'll find it in my chapter. August the V in Dhawanilla, Irain Changi. And there was the world entirely with one language. But, Canon, the language that is meant is justice.
It's rather a free translation, Mr. Hammond.
Very true, Canon. But justice is always in a free translation.
All right, watch it getting off, please. His name is Brian Hannon. If you're in his bus near midnight, when the streets are nearly empty and the last mile remains to be run, perhaps you can hear him sing.
We'll see the deer and hare at rest. We'll see the wren in mossy nest. We'll fish for trout and chase the bee and dance beneath the apple tree. I want to sing, my heart is gay. I want to dance the hours away. I want to run through dell and lea. I want to go to Grandmammy.
He makes his first trip each day that he works on the dot of 2 o'clock. and he is finished at midnight. 5 round trips each day. 10 times to pass the libraries and the university where a scholar spends his mornings. I think it is a story that could have been told only in America.
Our Eternal Light story today, The Trolley Bible of the Broadway line, was written by Morton Wishengrad. Carl Swenson was featured as Brian Hannon and Edgar Staley as the narrator. The music was composed by Morris Momorsky and conducted by Milton Kating. Cantor Robert H. Siegel sang the liturgical introduction. The entire production is under the direction of Frank Papp. If you would like a free copy of today's script, write to the Eternal Light, 3080 Broadway, New York 27, New York. This program is a weekly presentation of the National Broadcasting Company and its affiliated independent stations in cooperation with the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. Because of the Jewish holiday of the Shavuot, the festival of Pentecost, this program will not be heard next Sunday. Listen in 2 weeks from today to hear the Eternal Light again. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
In Psalm 63, David said, "My soul shall be satisfied as with marrow and fatness, and my mouth shall praise thee with joyful lips, when I remember thee upon my bed, and meditate on thee in the night watches." To help you focus your thoughts upon God at the close of this day, we bring you this devotional meditation from Morning and Evening by Charles Haddon Spurgeon, the great English preacher of the 19th century. This evening's meditation is found in Romans chapter 8 and verse 23. Ourselves also, which have the first fruits of the Spirit. Present possession is declared. At this present moment we have the first fruits of the Spirit. We have repentance, that gem of the first water, faith, that priceless pearl, hope, the heavenly emerald, and love, the glorious ruby. We are already made new creatures in Christ Jesus by the effectual working of God the Holy Ghost. This is called the first fruit, because it comes first. As the wave sheaf was the first of the harvest, so the spiritual life and all the graces which adorn that life are the first operations of the Spirit of God in our souls. The first fruits were the pledge of the harvest. As soon as the Israelite had plucked the first handful of ripe ears, he looked forward with glad anticipation to the time when the wain should creak beneath the sheaves. So, brethren, when God gives us things which are pure, lovely, and of good report as the work of the Holy Ghost, these are to us the forerunners of the coming glory. The first fruits were always holy to the Lord, and our new nature, with all its powers, is a consecrated thing. The new life is not ours, that we should ascribe its excellence to our own merit. It is Christ's image and creation, and is ordained for His glory. But the first fruits were not the harvest, and the works of the Spirit in us at this moment are not the consummation. The perfection is yet to come. We must not boast that we have attained, and so reckon the wave sheaf to be all the produce of the year. We must hunger and thirst after righteousness, and pant for the day of full redemption. Beloved, this evening open your mouth wide, and God will fill it. Let the boon and present possession excite in you a sacred avarice for more grace. Groan within yourself for higher degrees of consecration, and your Lord will grant them to you. For He is able to do exceeding abundantly above what we ask or even think. This meditation was taken from Morning and Evening by C.H. Spurgeon. Please listen each evening at this same time for Morning and Evening.